You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everyone, episode 96 is here, and so is the trailer for The Last Jedi. My name's Kyle.
My name's Corey.
Man, oh man, it's going to be another huge week in Star Wars land. It's going to be another huge week at Tumbling Saber. Where are we going to start? Let's start the polite way. Corey, how you doing, sir?
I'm actually doing pretty good. It's actually Canadian Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. In Canada,
true.
anyway. That's Carlos, Tim, Nathan, all you guys out there listening in Knucklehead land. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you had a great weekend.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to the entire Commonwealth, no matter where you are. I give thanks to be able to call myself a member of it and to know so many new people in that regard as well.
No doubt. I think this whole podcasting gig and becoming part of the Commonwealth, it's been a heck of a whirlwind. And you're right, Corey. I'm thankful for that. It's kind of taken our lives on a bit of a left turn in a good way. But here we are, podcasting multiple times a week and making friends all over the globe. What more could you ask for?
More Star Wars toys.
Well, I guess on that note, how did we do this weekend in collecting?
We did pretty well, Kyle. We did pretty well. You know that. Kyle and I, we had a little exchange over the weekend. I had to hand over some powerful gifts for our powerful friends, and my God, I thought it was going to be a lot harder to give those things away, but no, you didn't have to pry them out of my hands.
Now we've got a huge treasure chest full now. What is your dog doing?
I didn't want him to walk over there. I don't want him. Come here.
Hey, there's the first time Trigger really makes an appearance on the show.
Come here, buddy. Whoa. He's the best. He's the most gentle, amazing dog, best friend, loyal companion you could ever ask for. I'm telling you, this dog he's awesome, man. He's the kind of dog you walk without a leash, you know?
Yeah, that's illegal in some places, Corey.
That's okay. I usually do it, but I mean, he won't run. He's not a runner. He's institutionalized.
Padded room and all and everything?
No, it's always making more the reference to Shawshank.
Got it. Yeah, so anyway, collecting updates. We've got the treasure chest full of goodies for our powerful friends. I did some quick math, and if we could stretch what we have for the next year. And that's without picking up anything else that we see forthcoming for The Last Jedi or the Han Solo movie that comes next year.
Yeah, I went pretty crazy as of late. I mean, there's been certain things that we've seen out there, and I'm like, I'm probably not going to see this again. Like, let's just pull the trigger. Did it, man. But it was good to fork them on over to you. And then, we're part of this Black Series form, Canadian form, and this is how I managed to land my Rex, which I'm so stoked about. I'm looking at it right now. Makes me so happy. But everyone started posting. Yeah, EB Games got the Force Spirit Obi-Wan, which I kind of found weird. Should be Force Ghost, but anyhow, Force Spirit Obi-Wan was dropping throughout Canada, and I knew one that was relatively pretty close to my place. So on Friday afternoon, I drove out, and lo and behold, I actually called prior. The guy said, "Yeah, we got some of those." But you never know, right? Some people just say, "Oh, there's an Obi-Wan." But no, they got them, and there's only two in hand. I definitely would have bought a third if there were one. So I definitely got one for me, and I passed the other one on to you, Kyle.
Oh, it feels good. It's like smacking the veins, man.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait till I get my hands on that X-Wing, Luke.
Yeah, you keep dreaming. You know what it is, though? It's like having all these red Black Series boxes. I'm kind of bored of those now, but now that the Force Ghost Obi-Wan, it's got the blue spine and all the blue graphics, it just visually, like, wow, I have something special.
Yeah, it's true. It almost looks like an exclusive. It's the same thing with Rex. Like it's all blue and stuff, which is totally different. But yeah, this is one that I've had on the list for a while, and I'm glad that it was still a hunt, and I don't think I'm going to see any more around for quite some time. So I'm definitely glad we locked those down.
Nah, that's a sweet score. Thanks for picking that up for me, man.
No problem. That's the way I roll, yo.
You also got the HasCon exclusive Rex. Is that what that's from?
Yep.
That's a sweet figure.
Oh man, it is. It just jumped incredibly in value as well, which is I'm kind of like shocked about it. Luckily, I ordered quite a few things when I did order, but so I mean, kind of saved on shipping a bit there. But if we would just ordered that, it probably would have come to about $60 just to get it to your door. I mean, it was 21 something US plus shipping. So yeah, I mean, people are selling them now for like $100 seems to be the going rate.
So you got a deal anyway.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I was just really stoked to be able to get one. It was just like a total fluke.
Hey man, fortune favors the bold. You went for it. You got it. Good job.
Yeah.
So I had this little brainwave, which turned out to be more like a brain fart, but I think it was worth a try. So there's a video store near me, which I haven't set foot in a few years, because really, who goes to video stores anymore? But I remembered at the back of the store was a little like third-party video game store, and I thought, maybe that's an EB Games. Maybe there's more Obi-Wan Force Ghost figures there. So on a hunch, I drive over there, and it turns out it's not EB Games, but another lesser-known chain. And, that's too bad. Let me go see what they have anyway. You never know. So I go in, and they have Star Wars figures dating back from like 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's really, really weird how they have these old, the Black Series 3 3/4 stuff with the blister pack from a few years ago. So strange to see those still swinging on pegs. But I left those there, even though there was a couple of ones from Legends, which could be valuable to some people, but they'd been kind of ripped open and taped back shut. So I left them there. And I suspect they've been there for some time. So if someone tweets me after hearing this and goes, no, go get it anyway, I just may do that. But what I did pick up was Obi-Wan Starfighter from the 2014 Saga Legends line, which was
that's sweet.
It's a weird little ship. It's like the ship that he flew at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, but it's the blue paint job one. So I don't know where he flew that. Maybe it was in Clone Wars somewhere that I don't notice. Yeah, I paid $15 for it. It's a total joke, and my son's already completely assimilated it. It's his.
Oh boy,
it's over. But it's weird. It's like scaled down in size versus the Revenge of the Sith Jedi Starfighter. Like it's maybe 2/3 of the size, and you could tell the build quality is half of what it was for the Revenge of the Sith line. It's such a strange little ship. But anyway, at $15, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, vehicles are always cool. Did you notice if they had any Clone Wars animated stuff?
No, nothing. Anyway, so there's a quick collecting update. I thought that was a pretty good weekend. Very Obi-Wan shaped for me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to make my way on over to that microplay.
Yeah, have a little peek. So we had New York Comic Con this weekend, which didn't deliver a whole ton of Star Wars news, but did give a couple nuggets. I guess chief among them was a sequel to the Thrawn novel. What was it called? Thrawn Alliances?
Yep.
So, Corey, as you know, you're a bigger Thrawn fan than I am. How do you feel about this?
You know, I still haven't even bought the novel yet of Thrawn. I definitely do plan on reading it, although I have heard a lot of mixed reviews. I do really like the character a lot. I don't know if it's his blue skin, whatever. It's a certain je ne sais quoi, but I get the argument that a lot of people say, and I think you're on that boat, Kyle, that you know the blunders kind of outweigh his genius and whatnot. But I kind of tend to look through that and look at him more as just the baddie, the villain, who they're trying to portray him to actually be. And I fall into that, like I lull myself into that. So I'm kind of interested in it. I'm kind of most interested in hearing as to when it takes place. I know he's going to be with Vader, but is this going to be going back in time possibly, or is it moving forward on the same timeline it was? And where does it fall in regards to where Rebels is?
Yeah, they wouldn't tell us that, right? Because that would obviously give away a big piece of Rebels season 4.
That's it. I mean, does he live? Does he die? You know, someone actually, I just heard a fan theory that says that, you know, Filoni. I think this is just a play on words, but Filoni said something. Either Vader or Palpatine won't be in season 4. So one guy, and then he recently confirmed Palpatine is not in season 4. So one guy's theorizing that Vader is in season 4 of Rebels.
Well, you know what I found? I went digging for it. I found it, a historically important document for us here at Tumbling Saber. It's our potential season 4 cameo list that you, myself, and my lovely wife Candace filled out when we wrapped up season 3. So let's take a little quick peek. We'll recap this. We're going to do a preview show for our Rebels podcast, which is starting up in a couple weeks, right? So we're going to sit down, record a preview show there, and we'll run down this cameo list. We'll refresh that. But on the Vader front, Corey and Candace said no Vader, while Kyle said yes. On the Emperor front, Corey and Candace said yes, and Kyle said no. Look at that.
I remember I had a feeling that Palpatine had to at least make an appearance, but no, we got confirmation.
I like a couple of predictions, maybe accurate here. We'll see. But anyway, we'll round out this list later this week. Hope you guys can tune in for that. So yeah, so this Thrawn novel, I'll admit that I am more interested in this one, and I'm going to contradict myself. I'll be a little bit hypocritical because I'm the first person to say it's time to not only leave this era of Star Wars, it's time to stop leaning on Vader to get these stories attention. Like we don't know the story, obviously. But obviously, if you're bringing in Vader, it's not going to be for nothing, right? And they said that Vader will feature prominently. So, I don't know. It feels like that's maybe going to be more of a Vader book than a Thrawn book. But you know what? I'm probably still going to get it. I didn't touch the first Thrawn novel. I really had no interest. I might listen to the audiobook because at least I can digest that in a couple hours here and there at work. Whereas, it takes me like 2 months to read a novel. But yeah, the second one makes me much more interested just because Vader's going to be in it. Yet I don't want Vader in more stories unnecessarily. So how's that for talking out of both sides of your mouth?
Yeah, I kind of got you there. But anything Vader like this in this time period, I'm kind of down with, especially what they've been doing recently with what all you guys have been saying about Vader. The comic book, like I got them all. I haven't started reading them yet, but
you gotta get on that.
I know, like once I gotta go to make a stop to pick up the last few. Like I've purchased them. I think I have the first 2 or 3 here, but once I have them all in hand, I'm just gonna like binge through them because all I've heard you guys this weekend on Twitter. I mean, ads. Everybody's just saying how really amazing it is.
Well, since the first issue, and Steve and I sit down every couple weeks to talk about the comics and novels, but since issue 1, like I think him and I have both been on the same page saying that this has been the most mind-blowing Star Wars title yet, and every issue has sort of doubled down on that. It's easily, at least in my mind, easily the best Star Wars comic going so far.
Nice.
I placed a lot of faith in Charles Soule, and it's not failed, man. It has not let us down. It's so good. Issue 6, not as mind-blowing, but it's laying some train tracks and, crossing over into Rebels territory. It's so good, man. Oh, you got to get on that.
Yeah, for real.
So anyway, yeah, Thrawn Alliances next summer. I'm probably going to pick it up, and I'll probably squeal like a little fanboy when I read the Vader scenes. But yeah, I am still pretty adamant that they need to start putting him away.
No, I totally agree with you there too.
All right. So this weekend, Ron Howard tweeting. Who do you think tweets more, Ron Howard or 45? Not 45. That's not even a contest. 45 tweets more. But this weekend, Ron Howard tweeted that something about, they're spending as much time filming and as they are in the editing room these days. Something to that effect. To which one fan replied back to him saying, "So what you're saying is that you're almost done." And Ron Howard tweeted back to this fan saying, "Almost finished shooting, but months of post-production work ahead. Tremendous team, so lots to look forward to creatively." Now, Corey, they started reworking this film early July. That's 3 whole months ago. And at this point, the only conclusion I can come to is that they've redone a huge chunk of this movie, like more than 50%. And to me, it looks like Lord and Miller aren't going to get directorial credits in this movie. They're not done shooting yet. They're still going. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's quite possible. I've kind of said that since the beginning, that I think the extent of everything, the way it's been going, I was on the page of saying at least 75-80%. But I don't know if they're going to get credit or not. Maybe a quick brief little glimpse at their names, just a flash.
Yeah. Like a Fight Club subliminal little slip in one frame.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they might, maybe somewhere in the credits they'll get some kind of love, but I don't think it's going to say, directed by or co-directed by at any point. They'll be buried a little bit here, I think. This has just gone on so long, and again, they're not finished shooting, so they could. It
just goes to show you, though, like the true pro that Ron Howard is, like the seasoned vet. How we've not heard. I mean, granted, I guess at this point, Lucasfilm would really try and cap this thing, but nothing hostile about that set. It just seems like everyone's kind of on the same page, and that he's realizing the vision that Lucasfilm had, kind of.
Yeah, it seems like he's stripped it right down to the studs, and is really rebuilding it all. I don't want to say from scratch. I'm sure some things have been preserved, but it looks like I think for all intents and purposes, this is going to be a Ron Howard movie, which I'm okay with. That guy is a terrific movie maker.
Oh yeah, this is like he understands this movie. Like there's a lot of there's gonna be a lot of adventurous things in this movie that he's familiar with. Like the racing, American Graffiti. Like this guy's been around since he's like 4 years old.
He's a lifer. He's a showbiz lifer. He's as versatile a director as there is. I'm still super excited for it. I wish we could start seeing little snippets here, a production photo, something official. But we're not going to get that now. I don't think. Not between now and where are we now? Where it's about 2 months and change until The Last Jedi. I can't imagine we're going to get interrupted by Han Solo stuff at this point.
No, not at all. But again, it's like he's running a well-oiled machine over there. I think it could also be indicative of the story as well. If he's totally enamored with the story and inspired, the tools at his disposal are limitless.
Yeah, well, so there's always budgets to obey, and I guess at this point, the budget's kind of been blown out a bit. But yeah, no, your point stands, I think.
It just seems like it's coming together so well that it could be indicative of how good the film itself is.
Well, let's hope so. Anyway, let's race along. I'm getting antsy here. I want to talk about this Last Jedi trailer, but we'll plow through what little news we did get last week. Some of it I've cut from the show notes just to speed things up a little bit more. And a couple things they weren't really beefy enough or interesting enough for us to really talk about. So maybe we'll park those for episode 97 if things are a little bit bare. But for now, we're going to talk about the location of Ahch-To potentially being revealed, which I think is kind of interesting in that it kind of puts egg all over us. So an industrious fan translated some Aurebesh from the map. He captured a high-res screen cap from The Force Awakens and did his due diligence and translated what he saw on the map. I can't believe it's taken almost 2 years for somebody to do this. But turns out Ahch-To is really in the mix with Naboo and all the planets that we really know about. So what do you think about that, Corey? Ahch-To is not on some far reach of the galaxy, out of the way, lost, and far away
In the
from
Outer
everybody
Rim.
and everything.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like right away, I wanted to like grab a map and an atlas of the Star Wars galaxy and check it out. So it's definitely not on a spiral, on the spiral rim of the Outer Rim, you know, or a spiral arm. I don't know. We've seen it happen before with Camino, right? But Camino was way out there,
Camino was
And again,
way out there.
way out there, and it was also an inside job. Like, I guess you can assume it was Count Dooku kind of took it off the charts, or Palpatine, whatever. So it kind of means like one of two things. Maybe it's just overlooked because it looks irrelevant. But I don't know. It looks like a pretty abundant source of, you know, the First Order or the Empire would have wanted to get their hands on some kind of planet. You know, it probably had something to offer them. So I don't really look at it in that regard either. So how did it get lost in space? You know, like how did it get written out of history? So it's got to have something, in my opinion, to do with the Force, or I don't know, just the planet being so.
We did see how Camino got kind of erased from the archives. Maybe at some point the Jedi did this to themselves. They scrubbed Acto from, you know, for protection. I mean,
Ooh, I like that.
I think the Jedi Sith War is an actual canon thing. So maybe at some point, some industrious, forward-thinking Jedi said, you know, we're going to lose this war. So because we revere this planet so much, I'm going to wipe its existence from the archives, from existence, and just demolished it and completely wiped it from the text. So for all intents and purposes, it no longer existed, and somehow Luke was able to find it. I think that's a fitting thing.
I agree with you, but the only problem I have with that, I really like that because I didn't even ponder it, but the only problem I have with that is that it's not in a desolate part of space like Camino was. Like Camino, the way they figure it out, you know, the kid says, like, someone erased it, and he's like, yes, you're right. But the gravitational mass of the star was still there. Like, other systems were kind of being drawn to it, right? So that being the case, like, people need to plot hyperspace, you know, jumps through these lanes of space. Like if it's a populated area of space, Naboo, like obviously Dagobah is not all that popular, but
yeah, you could pull it apart that way. Like you could say, well, some astronomer on some planet in that region of space would have noticed, you know, Acto's gravitational pull affecting other bodies in that part of the galaxy, and go, oh wait, there should be a planet there. Wait, yes, there is. Look at that. It's not in any chart. That
it become the Bermuda Triangle of that galaxy.
Yeah, you could pull it apart if you really wanted to that way. So maybe there is another explanation to explain why Acto is completely lost. But yeah, I guess, you know, having it on the inner rim makes a bunch of sense, because if it's the site of the first temple, and if we assume that the core, where Alderaan and Coruscant and all these big shot planets are, if that's where sort of galactic history started, then it makes sense that Acto is in that mix. You know, you would think that it would have to be close to these planets when hyperspace was first invented. Like this Acto planet probably predates hyperspace travel. So you would think that, you know, any interstellar travel between planets, they would all have to be relatively close together, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or how about this? Maybe they've seeded this in Rebels already. Maybe the earliest form of hyperspace travel centered around, or maybe originated from the Jedi or Force sensitives or the Force itself. Remember
how so? You mean like by the communing via the temples or whatever?
I don't really know what I'm saying. I'm thinking off the top of my head, but
I got you though.
Remember
I
the
like where you're
Purgle?
going.
Remember the Purgle? How they, like, here are these creatures that are able to travel through hyperspace. What if the first Jedi, you know, remember Ezra can communicate with these things. I don't know if Purgle are necessarily Force users or Force sensitive, but is it that far-fetched to suggest that Jedi sort of studied Purgle and communicated with Purgle and were able to unlock the secret of hyperspace that way?
That's kind of interesting.
Anyway, that's a huge reach, but you know, it all to say, like everything huddled around a core, at the beginning of galactic history, yeah, Acto's probably right where it makes sense for it to be.
But it's interesting. Like, in my opinion, it should have been discovered at this point, just from a physical, scientific standpoint.
Yes.
So I think there's some kind of mystical energy surrounding it, which is kind of odd too, because I mean, Rey found it right off the hop. She had the map piece. It told her to go to a certain location, and she found it. But it's almost as if, in my opinion, like maybe the planet let her find it. Because again, it should have been. I get that space is very vast, like unfathomably vast for our minds to even be able to conceive. But I just figure if it's that close to the center, like there's got to be some kind of shielding or something. I don't know. It's just not. It's not for those who don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can also buy that somehow, whether it's Luke himself or the planet or something contained within the planet is masking its presence. I'll buy that. That's seems to be like a very Star Wars thing. You can apply the same thing to Dagobah, right?
Or could it also be something along the lines of it? The history on it is written incorrectly in the sense that they masked their tracks in saying that, oh, Act 2? No, you don't want to go there. Oh, bad planet. Kind of like Dagobah, not comfortable. Don't go. Don't bother. Like,
well, Malakor's that way, right? Jedi are forbidden to go to Malachor.
That's where Jedi go to die, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm super interested in Malachor. More on that later.
Indeed. All right, so there we go. Acto is actually much closer than we thought. I guess in a way, it also, I don't know what we're supposed to take out of this, other than, like you said, the scientific reasoning can be pulled apart there, but it can speak to the vastness of space, right? Even in a small slice of map like we saw in The Force Awakens, that is a huge area. So if one planet got lost in there, if Acto is a small planet, maybe. Obviously, we're not supposed to overthink this, which is exactly what we're doing. But that's what we do. But I like it. I think I'm glad, again, thankful on Thanksgiving weekend that somebody is thinking these things through. Like, Acto doesn't have to be billions and billions of miles removed from everything. It's fine. It's fine located close to the core, because if it's the location of the first Jedi Temple, then it should be close to where history started. You would think that interstellar travel wasn't so easy at the beginning of the Jedi Order. I like it. Makes sense. Somebody thought this through. Way to go, guys. All right, so let's move ahead. The evacuation of Dakar. That seems like it's going to be something we see in The Last Jedi, Corey. I'm excited to see that, though. Do you think it cuts a little close to Empire to see an evacuation of a rebel base again?
Depending how it's done, at this point, I believe the Resistance must know the First Order knows their location.
Oh, they knew. They knew in The Force Awakens.
Yeah, that's it. We've talked about that. That's true. So at that point, they should be planning their evacuation. Okay, maybe they should have an idea as to how long they have to evacuate. I don't know if there'll be too much celebrating going on, even though they got Starkiller. So yeah, right away, if Leia's on her game, she should tell them, like, we got to get out of here ASAP. Let's do it.
Let's hit the bricks. Pack up and go.
Yeah. So if it's just like the remaining ground crew, kind of like the last remnants of people there, like probably Leia, Poe, like people were saying, I'm not leaving till everyone else is gone. Then I kind of get that,
Well, one of the pieces surrounding this story is the addition of a new character, Tali Lintra, which when I first heard the name rang a bell. And then I thought about it for a second. I go, oh my God, there's already a Tali Lintra toy out there. If you want to go buy it, it's available right now. She's packed with the Resistance A-Wing fighter, which suddenly makes me want this toy much, much more. I've seen it a bunch of times on the shelves. It's right down the street from me. And, I'm suddenly very interested. I want this toy.
Me too.
Anyway, so yeah, like we're gonna get an evacuation scene in The Last Jedi, and I think we've seen shots of that in in the, I guess, the first teaser from Celebration.
How so?
Well, I think those Resistance bombers, I'm just guessing, those shots of the Resistance bombers are providing cover as the rest of the fleet escapes. I could be completely wrong. That's just my guess. I think the big space battle is at the beginning of this movie. Again,
You're thinking the big space battles at the beginning?
totally guessing. I have no clue, but I'm guessing the space battle is at the beginning as they evacuate Dakar, and the big ground battle is at the end with the guerrilla walkers. I'm
Not late. It kind
totally guessing.
not late. It kind of makes sense because I was kind of thinking about it as well, and I guess from the assumption we're under, obviously Dakar's got to be at the beginning of the film, Crate toward the end. So it'll kind of be a bit weird to see an invasion of both planets by the First Order on the Resistance. You know what I mean? Like 2 times in one film. Now, granted, if they do it the way you'd said it, like one being in space, one being on the ground, I guess you can kind of work it out like that. But I was more hoping, I guess, to see a space battle toward the end, and I think that's still going to be the case, to be honest. But it also kind of got me thinking in a weird way that I know this is kind of. Crate's been confirmed as the Rebels, the Resistance's base, right? Or it was in the past.
Yeah, I believe that to be correct.
Because I was thinking, the end, at the end, possibly, maybe, this is a stretch again, but maybe the First Order has control of Crate and it's the Resistance making their first strike on them, Although I don't think that's going to be the case. It kind of got me thinking that way because I was like, 2 invasions on the Resistance in one movie kind of seems a bit of overkill.
Well, we know that the comic is coming out just after Christmas, right? I forget what it's actually called. It's Luke and Leia, but they're on Crate, and this is in the window between A New Hope and Empire. So we know the rebellion is on Crate well before The Last Jedi, and we've already been told. I'm pretty sure that the rebellion had been mining Crate as a source of money. So whether they were selling contraband that they would get there or gems, I think it was gems actually, something they were pulling out of the mines on Crate and using it to fund the rebellion. Anyway, we're definitely going to learn more about that. But anyway, this Tali Lintra character, played by actress Hermione Corfield, who I know nothing about, but could be a really cool under the radar addition to Star Wars characters. Looking forward to seeing her.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to have another hotshot pilot. I hope she survives. They're building up a pretty cool stash now of personable pilots. Like in the original trilogy, we had Wedge,
Hobby,
but like Hobby, Biggs, Porkins, Gold Leader, Red Leader. These guys all had very short shelf lives. Wedge is like the only guy that stuck it out.
Dak
really didn't last very long. But yeah, so many of those original trilogy guys were gone, and the prequels offered almost nothing in that regard. It was all cannon fodder clones and N1 starfighter pilots, which obviously we only saw once. But I like that. In this trilogy, we've got Snap, Poe, Jess Pava, and now Tali Lintra.
I don't know. I just feel this way, I guess, but I wish I felt more feelings for Snap Wexley.
You would if you read Aftermath. It's a lot of Snap Wexley as a precocious little teenager. That's I guess it's one of the positive aspects of Aftermath.
Interesting.
But you know what? This whole thing about the evacuation of Dakar, I now more than ever, and since almost the very beginning, I've said that even though they've told us that the movie picks up, there's no time gap. It just picks up with Luke and Rey, and so everybody is kind of run with, well, the movie opens with Luke and Rey. From the beginning, I have said it's not going to open with Luke and Rey. More than ever, I believe that we're going to get a scene. The first scene will be First Order, and it's going to be something along the lines of, an officer approaching either Hux or some other commanding officer saying, "Sir, we're making our approach to Dakar. Good, prepare all squadrons." Something to that effect.
Dun, 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 dun. It's gonna be so good.
Yeah, and the whole
I'm
entire
totally on the same page.
Well, and I think that First Order dreadnought, the one with that huge giant cannon mounted underneath, I think that's going to be part of this sequence where they're going to just that ship is going to pummel either the fleet or the surface of Dakar, maybe both. So I think the opening scene is going to be First Order on their approach to Dakar, and then sort of a short but frantic space battle, and then we're going to cut to Rey and Luke. So I would say like 8-9 minutes into the movie is when we're going to cut to Rey and Luke for the first time.
I have to be on the same page with you there. Like maybe not, like you said, like they're in the system or they found out where they are and they're on their way. The Resistance knows they're preparing their evacuation. You get to see Leia, Poe, what's going on with Finn a bit, maybe.
Or maybe the first scene is the one where Leia smacks Poe. Maybe she's just hanging on too long, and it's time to go. They know the First Order is like around the corner, and Poe triggers her, and she smacks him in the face. Like maybe he questions her leadership or says that she's risking the future of the Resistance by dawdling, and she just slaps him right across the mouth. Who knows? But yeah, you could also see that saying, General, we got to go. The First Order is right here. They're on our doorstep. We have to go. I could see the movie starting like that too.
Yep. But definitely I'm on the same page that, who knows, maybe wrong, but I don't see it starting with Luke and Rey.
Yeah, I think they're going to make us wait just a little bit more for that. All right, so that's it for the news, man. What are we going to talk about next, Corey? We're going to talk about it. It's time to talk about the trailer for The Last Jedi.
This is something I've been waiting for this for a long time, and oh my god, the time is here. Like, the fuse has really been lit now, in my opinion. Like, I don't know, I'm got a bit of a fever right now. It's hard to process it all,
Yeah. Well, before we dive headlong into the trailer, let's back up to Sunday night. And Sunday during the day, really. We saw a couple teases, really small snippets, 5-10 second snippets. That was really the fuse that lit the whole thing. That's what made this whole thing real. There was one with Rey swinging around a lightsaber, which looked pretty great. And then there was one with Kylo picking up his lightsaber from the floor in Snoke's throne room. And the big one for me, anyway, was Luke taking hold of the saber.
Oh, yeah, the tumbling saber. Same here. When I saw that, I was just, it's almost as if his robotic hand or both hands were trembling in seeing this thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like this, he's so traumatized by what he's seeing that he can't process it. He can't believe this thing's back in his hands again.
And again, so bold on their part. Not really. I mean, this is like, we're Star Wars. Like, I had asked you, I believe on last week's show, what's the time frame they'll give themselves in order to market this thing accordingly. And we're like, oh, Good Morning America sometime during the week, midweek, if not the Star Wars show. And no, Sunday, the one day before, even though it was already pretty much a given for the most part.
Well, yeah, it's sort of the internet's worst kept secret at that point. We knew October 9th was going to be the day, and then they confirmed it Sunday. Anyway, oh man, I'm so excited by all this stuff that we just saw, man. Holy smokes. So they dropped the poster, the theatrical poster, about an hour before the trailer came out. Any thoughts on that? I mean, it's really heavily bathed in red, and it's pretty sinister looking, right?
Yeah, I think it's just continuing on with that theme that we've seen throughout in the trailers. Each poster, the character posters, they were, it's just following through with that, and I really like it. It's kind of like pixelated, or I don't want to say pixelated, but anyway, it does look dark. It's strokes of red and almost graphically violent, possibly foreshadowing. I don't know. It's just
well, it's dark. It's supposed to invoke a darkness, and I think that's this movie, as we're going to talk about in the trailer, looks like it's going to be pretty dark and grim.
But definitely not an ugly poster, that's for sure. It's It's nice.
No, it's not
No,
ugly.
it's
I mean, from a Photoshop standpoint, it's superb work, of course, and I think conceptually, for me anyway, it's a big upgrade over the Force Awakens ho hum, bland
I like
collage.
how you put that. Conceptually, it is exactly. It doesn't seem, even though it's a montage or a collage of those characters, it's not done in your ordinary fashion, which I kind of really liked.
Yeah, it doesn't look as generic. Like you can tell. Well, the Force Awakens poster looked like a Marvel poster. Not to say that they're bad or ugly, but there's just nothing remarkable about them. This looks a lot better. I think it's a big upgrade.
Yeah, it's hitting home for us. I know we're big advocates for the Rogue One posters, but
Well, I mean, you know what? I still like the teaser poster better. The one from Celebration, right? With Rey at the bottom holding up the lightsaber.
Yeah, there's something about
and Luke
that.
and Kylo. Yeah, that one still is the reigning champ for me as far as the Last Jedi posters. So now we get to look forward to what more character posters or more generic type posters that are definitely going to hit the market soon enough. Yeah, all right. So I mean, I'm still like shaking a little bit after
for real,
having watched this trailer a bunch of times. But let's get into it. It kicks off with Kylo looking over.
Let's just stop here for Kyle before we really kick it off. Like let's take our time with this for a second. And man, like, what did we just see? What did we just process? Like, I remember.
Well, that's what we're going to try and talk about.
Well, just put yourself back in time, okay? Like, I want to ask you this before we start this off. Coming into the TFA, into the Force Awakens, we saw these trailers and they blew our minds, and we were all like, "Yeah, Star Wars is back." But now that it is back, it's still different. So, like, I don't know if this is just coming off the high or riding the wave of this trailer, but I'm as excited for, or greater, or like more excited to see this film, knowing that we're in our era's Empire. Like, this is the film, man. Like, we're building up to it, and it met all my expectations. Full on feels like I had high expectations for this trailer, and I do this film, and like I'm shocked. It's so much bigger.
Oh yeah, no question about that. Yeah, so we start with Kylo looking at, I guess, some preparations before they dive into battle. A bunch of First Order ships and gear, but really it's the Snoke voice narration over top. And he's talking to, who's he talking to? When I Found You. And talking about how there's something special about this person. Is he talking to Kylo? Or is he talking to Rey? Is that sort of the through line here?
Well, I kind of got you there, and it didn't hit me right away, obviously, but I'd watched the trailer many times in a row. And after kind of like watching the whole thing, like, I believe, we're going to jump forward a bit here, but there's a conversation that he's saying at the end, fulfill your destiny. I believe it's the same conversation as he's having right now, and it's probably with Rey. It could be with Kylo. I think
that's our first misdirect. I think it's intentional to make us think it's Rey, especially with that shot. But I think it could be with Kylo.
Well, it could be with Kylo. I mean, even in the first few times I watched it, I thought it was Kylo, because it's showing Kylo, like, as he's talking at the beginning, your raw, untamed power, and he's bending to pick the lightsaber, but then it flashes to Rey. But it could be Snoke speaking to Rey, and then, her in that position at the end. That's clearly Snoke. You could see him in the background, like, using some kind of insane force power on her.
Well, it's cut in such a way that we're supposed to be having this exact conversation, not knowing who he's talking to. But it could swing either way. I mean, I'm not convinced that it's Kylo. But I'm certainly not convinced that it's Rey either.
Me neither. Either way, I have no idea. But to me, I'm kind of leaning a bit more toward Rey, and I really find the line "When I Found You" extremely interesting, because it could play into Kylo in the sense that I found you with Skywalker, and I took you to be my apprentice, or it could be
when you have a concept like the Force that allows people to reach out and touch one another without actually being face to face. When I found you means almost nothing. It could mean when he detected him, first sensed his birth, first sensed his conception.
But the same goes for Rey as well. And
well, sure.
And when I found you and henceforth dumped you off on Jakku.
It could be that too. But yeah, that was something I thought of right away. What do you mean, Snoke found Rey? Snoke knows Rey? Oh my god. Well, I guess we knew that Snoke kind of knew Rey, but for him to say that when I found you, well, then you think about it for a second. Yeah, who cares? I mean, he could have found her in any number of ways just using the Force and never actually meeting her.
But just what he's saying there, like what Snoke's end goal is here, like he's seen something with this raw untamed power, and he's seen both sides of the fence kind of, and what he sees beyond is something truly special. Like, that's, man, like what's this guy up to?
Well, as evil overlords, they like to whisper sweet nothings into their apprentices' ears. Tell them how powerful they can be.
No, I believe that this movie is going to pertain to ancient myths and legends and mysticism. Like this trailer's clearly indicating a lot of stuff that's been never discovered before within the Force. So like it's really coming to like the pinnacle or the end game of the Force in a way, it seems like.
Interesting. I didn't pick up any of that, but well, let's keep going. Where do we want to go next? My God. So I guess we cut over to Rey talking to Luke about the power inside of her, and there's a quick shot of her, I guess, concentrating, zoning in on the Force, and she splits the ground in two.
Yeah, she's cracking the cliff. It's incredible.
And Luke looks back, and he looks utterly shocked.
Yeah, he's scared.
He's scared. There's something that's frightening about what just happened. And for me, this is the moment where Luke has finally figured out for himself the power of the person in front of him. And he's realized that, oh my God, maybe to this point, Luke is still on the I don't want to do this bandwagon. But now that once he sees her do this, he's like, okay, that's it. I have to train this person.
Well, I don't know. It could be the exact opposite, because we hear him again at one point in the thing saying, I've seen this kind of untamed raw power before, and like he's scared of it. He says it straight up. Like you see him popping out of the ashes of the temple, which is so cool.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking to me. I mean, that kind of confirms that Luke was there in the thick of it when his academy was destroyed. I had a theory that he was off world, and then Kylo just came and ambushed the whole place, and Luke shows up later going, dope.
Now again, who is first of all, who is Snoke talking about? But who is Luke talking about? Is he talking about Kylo coming back, or is he talking about Snoke? Well, I've only seen this kind of power once before. He was an old, decrepit, frail, Force-sensitive dude, and man, did he come back and destroy us. Or my nephew, I took him for granted. He was so powerful, and, you know?
Well, yeah, I think soon after that we kind of cut to Kylo. So I think they're kind of spelling it out for you there. It's right after that, Kylo smashes his helmet. So I think they kind of lead you there. I think Luke is definitely talking about his nephew.
But he's definitely telling Rey that, when I've seen this power before, it scared me, and basically he's kind of like backing out, like, I can't do this, like, no.
Or he's doubling down, because maybe he went pretty slack with his nephew, hence why he went to the dark side. Ergo, hence why he feels so bad about what's happened, and he's thinking, I wasn't strict enough or aware enough with my own nephew. I didn't think this would happen, but it did. So I need to be doubly vigilant this time with you. Just a thought.
No, I got it.
Oof, man, oh man, this trailer was just utterly incredible. My mind just keeps wandering back to it.
I know, it's so hard to really lock it down. It's all really just a blur, like recording tonight, getting tickets. It's just been a complete, I don't know, it's been incredible.
It's been a nutso couple of hours, that's for sure. So another thought on Rey cracking open the ground. So we know that Luke is on Ahch-To looking for something, perhaps seeking the first Jedi Temple. Did he find it? Did he not find it? We've been debating that. What if he never found it, and Rey cracking the ground open was sort of breaking the seal? And she just found it.
I like that a lot. That's pretty cool. But
I don't know. Maybe, it seems a little far-fetched, but it could be.
No, it's really cool. But the look on Luke's face again, like, Oscar for Hamill.
Oh, he looks like he's going to act the hell out of this movie.
Really, eh? For real? The way he looks at her, like,
Well, it wouldn't be the first time. I mean, Mark Hamill's acted the shit out of a couple of Star Wars movies. I mean, Empire. He is special in Empire.
It's true. He's got
Making us
the
believe in Yoda. He's done some stellar work, but this looks like it's going to top them all.
no. And he's embraced it so much so far, which is amazing.
Absolutely. Oh my god.
All right, so okay, the next scene coming up after that, I believe, is Kylo, and you just see this guy piloting the crap out of this this silencer.
The TIE silencer.
Yeah.
What about a space band-aid, Corey? Anything to say about that?
Dude, I do have a little note on here. I'm glad you brought that up. It's like Kylo Scar he's got some kind of weird synthetic Bacta Band-Aid. That's my thing. He's got the Bacta Band-Aid. It really does a number on his gash too, because he had a big gash and it moved around. We all know that. But either way, this thing, it looks really cool, and it's also indicative of the fact that this puts that scene where he's coming in, and we're meant to believe that he's going in for Leia, with a narration that's going on when he's saying, "Let the past die, kill it if you have to," you know. That kind of makes it seem to me that it's toward the beginning, or at least the middle act or prior, because we see a scene of him later on where it seems like his scar is still there, but definitely not as horrific as it should have been.
Well, this trailer does give us not a full timeline of events, but I think it does make it very easy to place where certain things are. Like, so the Band-Aid, him piloting the TIE Interceptor, that's Dakar. That's got to be the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, with the evacuation.
Yeah, that's got to be it. So we see Kylo, there's heavy hints at him taking out Leia on the control center of that ship, and you can see him. And this is where Adam Driver does just such a special job.
Yeah, Oscar for Adam Driver, man. I'm telling you, I know what you mean.
I mean, you can absolutely tell how conflicted he still is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So he's thinking about taking out his mom. He knows she's there. He's thinking about it awfully hard, and you could see the look on his face, the conflict on his face. And wow, does he pull the trigger or not? Like, we heard early rumors that Leia does get gravely injured. Is that the moment?
Well, you know what's really interesting about that too? Our good friend Carlos Candido pointed this out on Twitter not too long ago, actually. I was kind of just on Twitter before we started recording, and now you watch these things and you really, once you start thinking about it more and more, it's like a lot of things you take for granted, right? Like when Kylo's speaking about that, let the past die, kill it if you have to. It seems like narration for the movie in the trailer. It's like, oh, okay, that works. But in reality, he's speaking to someone. This is most likely going to be lines in the film. So who is he speaking to?
You think? Every time I watch a trailer now, I'm always kind of looking at things, taking certain things with a grain of sand.
I get what you mean there, but in this instance, it may be a little different. TFA was in a bit of trouble. Rogue One, we had big trouble, but this movie's been so nicely, neatly packed. It's in the can. So I almost think that the better part of the footage we see is in the film. Granted, there's probably all kinds of misdirects and whatnot, but I don't know. It's unlike past productions.
Yeah, well, you know what? They have plenty of time to think this out, and where are we going to misdirect these guys? How are we going to continue to pull on their heartstrings? But how about that shot of the Falcon flying through the mineral caves on Crate?
That's what it is. I assume the same thing, and that Porg too. Like, it looks like him and Chewie are gonna be like buddies, man. Like, Chewie's like, yeah, and the Porg's like, whatever.
Yeah, of course they're gonna be little buds. So, who's piloting the Falcon in that sequence?
Is it the Porg? He is in the pilot seat. Chewie's still in the.
Well, he's on the dashboard. He's not in the pilot seat. Because it looks like Chewie is in the co-pilot seat.
Maybe he's just more comfortable flying from that, like English. And
I mean, it is Rey's ship, right? So you would think, is Rey going to take the Falcon to Crate? Is she flying it? I can't. Who else would be flying it?
Yeah.
In that tight quarters against TIE fighters like that, it's got to be Rey, right?
The only other person would be Chewbacca. Like, he's knows the ship in and out as well. He's obviously a pretty damn good pilot, so it still could be him.
I think I've always thought of Chewie as like a serviceable pilot, but I never thought he would be the one you want in a dogfight. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but I don't think he's the star fighter, like star all-star, dogfighter, but I'm pretty sure he could hold his own. You know what I mean?
Maybe, I guess, but I don't think Chewie's piloting that thing.
Well, speaking of pilots, as the trailer goes on, you get Kylo, and then it flows right into Poe. Oh man,
Yeah, some fighting words for Poe,
yeah,
right?
The narration from each character. I mean, it started with Luke, started with Snoke, goes to Rey, then Luke, then we get Kylo. Now we're hearing from Poe. Yeah, we are the spark that will
Ignite the fire to burn the First Order to the ground or something like that.
Yeah, so good, and just the
Yeah,
shots.
he looks fired up, man. Poe looks all kinds of fired up.
Yeah.
But look, what comes after that? Finn versus Phasma.
Oh yeah.
I did not think we were going to get that in Episode 8. I really didn't. I thought that was going to be a key face-off for Episode 9.
Well, you know what? I think we're going to see it again in Episode 9. Because just the way it's squared up in this trailer, it almost looks like, if I'm not mistaken, I just pop it in my head right now, but I think we saw that First Order trooper from The Force Awakens pull out his electronic baton and Finn light up and go up against him in the trailer, I think, no?
No, I'm not even thinking about that trailer anymore.
Yeah, but it was very similar to this, you know what I mean? Like where you see Finn in the distance lighting up what he's got and her lighting up what she's got. So it's almost like setting up for the trilogy in a way. Like they did one with Finn, they did two with Finn. Now in the third one, there'll probably be another little battle like this as well, I would think, for his character.
Yeah, maybe. It makes perfect sense. I mean, Finn's going to have as much of an arc as anybody else. So next we see Luke on the ground, almost like he's been defeated, saying with some urgency, saying, "This is not going to go the way you think."
Yeah, that could be the moment where she decides, like, I have to go back to Crate or whatever, you know, like.
It's almost. I almost got the sense that not that they come to blows, Luke and Rey,
No,
but that she's grown fed up of him, and she puts him down, and she's feeling a surge of power within her that she's going to go do this.
Well,
and he's trying to talk her down.
I get that too, because, you know, from what they've said, Rian Johnson said her parentage doesn't matter. Kathleen Kennedy said that her parentage is somewhat important, but Rian Johnson again said it doesn't matter. So in this,
yeah, well, I mean, we'll get more to that later.
Yeah, but like just in this regard, like, she seems to be asking throughout the trailer, like, I don't know who I am. Please, someone help me. I don't know who I am. Like, someone just push me in the right direction, and I'll do it. And I think it's going to come to the point with this film where she'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm Rey of Jakku. Like, I'm going to figure this out for myself, and I'll figure it out for all the rest of you as well.
Yeah, she might just be like stepping into her own power and saying, I'll figure this out for all of you. Step aside. I got the Force on my side this time.
Yeah, exactly, because you see her throughout the trailer again. She's questioning herself and begging people for guidance.
Yeah, so I mean, that takes us kind of towards the end. I mean, we're kind of blowing through it here. I'm sure we'll come back to this in future episodes, and I'm sure powerful friends will have some questions that they want to throw to us that we want to continue to flesh other things out.
And we're also on the verge of another 3-hour episode.
Well, it looks like we could be headed in that direction, but you know what? I've heard nothing. I've heard nobody say that's a bad idea.
Again,
so we'll keep going with that train of thought.
Well, before moving on again, Kyle, you know what's again interesting? No sign of the Knights of Ren.
No Knights of Ren. Only a vague shot of the Praetorian Guard. Yeah, we'll go through our notable absences towards the end. But really, I think the big kahuna question, with Rey questioning her place in all this, and it looks like I thought it was going to reveal her talking to Luke, but it's her talking to Kylo, and he extends what seems to be a helpful hand, as in, come with me.
Now,
what is this another misdirect, or is this a sign that Rey and Kylo take off together and they don't trust anybody? They don't trust Snoke. They don't trust Luke. They don't really know what's going on, but they think maybe they'll try and figure it out themselves.
The latter, and that's a very good point, Kylo. I'm glad you kind of assumed that for yourself before. I've talked about this for a long time. I think Kylo and her can kind of work together. Like if Kylo feels betrayed by Snoke's ultimate ambition and it not being him, like if Snoke used Kylo as a pawn to get to Rey, like he's gonna be like, what the hell? I thought I was your boy. Like you just wanted her to fill your own like plans? No, you know? And I really see it like that. Like at the beginning, the way Snoke's explaining it, like I saw this thing and it was beautiful. Or, you know, I think it's really touching back on the last trailer where Rey says, I see the light, I see the dark, and I see the balance. I think that's what Snoke is seeing as well in a way. The balance between these two characters, if they can somehow work together and bring the balance, you know what I mean? But at the same time, if you really look at, I looked at that scene over and over and it finally clicked. Like, if you look at it, she's still wearing her Force Awakens garb in that part of the trailer. Like, she doesn't look like she's wearing any of her new clothing from the Force Awakens that we've seen thus far. It looks like
when she asks for help.
Yeah. So with Kylo reaching out to her, I think that's a clear misdirect. Like I don't think it's the same scene. Like it looks like she's on Act 2 and whatever.
At night.
Yeah, and like whatever.
Or in a cave.
In a cave or something more. And Kylo, it looks like all this kind of stuff's burning behind him. So I really don't think that that's part of the same scene. But it is still interesting to see Kylo extending a helping hand at one point. And I think it still could mean that same thing in the long run, just that scene is not a scene in the movie.
Yeah, maybe not. This could be, you know, expressed for the trailer to throw us off the trail. That would not shock me in the least. Oh my god. So let's back it up. So I threw out a hashtag on Twitter. Let's see what some of the powerful friends think about what we've just seen. I think across the board, people are just kind of in love with this trailer. Absolutely blown away. So Tim checked in and he asked if, you know, are we as excited, nervous, ecstatic? And this was before the trailer dropped, and emphatic yeses across the board.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Tim, good on you, bro. I've been listening to the show all the time, every week, and I know you were saying that you weren't going to tune in, but I'm glad you turned to the dark side, bro.
No kidding. Carlos chimed in with a simple holy shit.
Perfect.
Tim again, wow, this is going to be incredible. Bradley Hall, sick, better than expected. The look on Luke's face, priceless. Could Kylo do the unthinkable again? This trailer delivered. It absolutely did. And actually, Carlos had sent us an email. I'll blaze through that now. He says, hey boys, so I watched the trailer live and recorded it on my PVR. I'm completely blown away. So many things to talk about. Luke is afraid of Rey's power. He seems shattered by it. He says he didn't fear it when he saw that power once before, but he does now. Is he talking about Kylo? I think so. Corey, do you think so?
I'd say like 75% yes, and the other 25 is Snoke.
Just fair enough. The trailer tries to make that connection with the image of the Burning Academy. I'm not so sure. Is he talking about Palpatine, Snoke, Vader? Could be any of those. I believe it's Kylo Ren, and Ren represents Luke's blind spot that he just whiffed. He now recognizes something he should have picked up on, but didn't. Continuing, Carlos says, Rey wants to be trained so badly, she needs help. We're made to believe she's asking Luke, but she's seemingly face-to-face with Kylo. Yeah, we just talked about that. I think that's really one that's going to not grind people's gears, but this is one that's going to have people's chins on the floor.
But that's a good, the point I made about her Force Awakens outfit, I think it's going to come into this.
Yeah, it looks like it could be her Jedi training gear. It's not her rags anyway.
Well, I think it's the stuff she showed up on with.
Yeah, I mean, you only really see her collar, right?
Exactly. That's enough.
Yeah, no, you could be right. I'm not disagreeing with you. So we hear Kylo say, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. That's the only way to become what you're meant to be. Is it in response to Rey? That's interesting.
Oh, yeah, that could be really interesting. And
that could be the follow-up line.
What if he's actually even trying to help her in the sense that he knows what it's like to have all this messed up lineage with his grandfather and whatnot, and
his uncle, his father, his mom. It's also screwed up.
That's it. So what if she's finally finding out who her parents are and it's messing her up, and he's telling, like, he's actually trying to help her to, like, clear her thoughts.
If anything, I think he would be trying to taint her and saying, "Don't the people that are behind you, they're going to do nothing but disappoint you and hurt you. Kill them."
Well,
and maybe that could be poisoning. That could be him poisoning her against Luke.
In the long run, I definitely see this trailer. For me, anyhow, it looks like they're pointing toward a Kylo redemption arc.
Oh, they could be. Yep, they absolutely could be. Still not sure if I want to see that. I admit that it's compelling storytelling, but I don't know. I like not liking Kylo Ren. Like, I don't want to have to root for him.
And how is this too, bro? Like, honestly, when we get in that theater and we watch that scene where we're supposed to, I can't, in my opinion, I don't know if this is a misdirect where you see Kylo Ren flying through that hangar and just messing stuff up, and he looks like he's zoomed in on the bridge of his mom's ship, and she knows it, and he's struggling. Like, I really think that could be a scene within the film. It could be the scene where...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely part of the film.
So it could be the scene where she actually does get injured and not necessarily killed, like we had always heard. Or it could be Kylo bailing. Be like, I can't kill my mom.
Absolutely. Absolutely, it could be him bailing. He could absolutely pull the chute and decide not to do it.
Because doing that
would be that would be the turning point for Kylo, I would think.
Well, doing that on screen too is like, not on screen, but in the trailer is like, we all know kind of what happened with Carrie Fisher and Leia moving forward. So,
well, consider that in that scene, in those shots where it looks like she's mentally connected to him and he's struggling, he's conflicted. She's wearing something different than what we see later in the scene or in the trailer, where it looks like the doors, the blast doors of Crate are closing, and you see her with that super high collared
gray
robe that she wears.
That was really
so
nice.
It looks like Leia's going to appear at least in 2 different outfits in this movie, and to me it looks like the second time we see her in the trailer is deep in the movie, probably on Crate. That's my take. So if she gets hurt, I don't think she's out for the entire flick.
It's like, or maybe like Kylo kind of like bails at the last minute, but like ends up hurting her by accident, kind of.
Well, I
Mama, no.
I think he either goes through with it and hurts her, but she recovers, or somebody interrupts him. Like, I can imagine Poe flying in and distracting Kylo just long enough to prevent him from firing on Leia.
Or Kylo distracting himself long enough, being so torn that Poe is able to...
Well, I think that... Well, yes, but I think if Kylo doesn't do it, I think that's sort of the turning point, and it kind of spoils what's left of Kylo's arc. I mean, we've got a whole movie to go. If he doesn't follow through with killing Leia, to me that's the sign where, okay, we know where this is going eventually. Whereas I think if Poe kind of flies in to interrupt him from killing her, we get that sort of sense of, well, this is still up in the air. We don't know where he's at. Would he have done it? He had the same kind of feelings with Han, and he did it. Could he have followed through with his mom? But if Poe shows up to distract him, then think about it. We might get an absolutely killer dogfight between Kylo and Poe, and that's just too tantalizing to pass up, isn't it?
Indeed. Even though it looks like, and we know Poe is awesome, but man, was Kylo wreaking some havoc there.
Oh, he looks like, I mean, this is the son of Anakin, or the grandson of Anakin, and the son of Han Solo. This guy has got some piloting genes in him.
Yeah, it looks like the Chosen One juice skipped a generation too there. If you know what I mean? Like, if it's, Luke's just like, whoa, if he's really talking about Kylo and not Snoke, then he's like, man, my nephew is just like way more powerful than me.
Yeah, I'm sure that is part of this. The raw strength. I mean, this all just makes me think Kylo. He's just like top notch everywhere, which makes his fighting skills in The Force Awakens seem a little bit silly. But
or it could be
a different conversation for another time.
It could be also like how much Kylo's able to tap into something. Like if we the way he turns to the dark side, kind of, when he finds out about Vader and stuff like that. If that's why Luke's kind of just like, man, when he found that out, I saw some I saw some stuff you wouldn't believe.
All right. Let me see if I can finish up with Carlos's email here. Okay, so where were we at? Okay, so Finn confronts and battles Phasma. It happens. I like that we got to see that. I am shocked a little bit that they showed us that. And I think that's going to be an absolutely sick battle. That's going to be so cool to see.
Oh yeah, I'm not at all shocked that they showed us. Like, it's leading up to it. And yeah, just the visuals behind it. The visuals behind this entire trailer. Oh,
this trailer it's gorgeous. There's so much going on.
Start to finish.
Every shot. My God.
Visually, musically, narratively. It's like a trailer masterpiece.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll see where we place this trailer, and it's in the moment it's difficult to do, but we'll see.
Hey man, I'm high. Back off. I'm high on this trailer, yo.
I need someone to show me my place in all this. Rey to Kylo. I believe this is close to the end of the first act. She leaves with him, and he brings her to meet Snoke. Snoke says, fulfill your destiny. He seems in pain. Is he beaten, dying? Is it a final plea? The trailer opens on Snoke talking about seeing someone's power. On further review, I believe he's speaking to Rey. He tests her. All very plausible. All very, very plausible.
Well, I definitely know that don't know, but whenever I believe that Rey and Snoke have their confrontation, I think she's going to be brave enough to confront him, although I don't think she's going to be at all on the same page as him.
Well, I mean, let's think about that for a second. So, go back to the scene where Luke is down and out saying, this is not going to go the way you think. What if that's all a part of the same scene? Where Rey and Kylo have sort of not killed, obviously not mortally wounded Luke, but they've kind of put him down. And Kylo's saying, come with me. And she's going to go. And Luke is trying to talk her off the ledge saying, don't go. This is not going to go the way you think. And she goes anyway.
Ooh, that
is a way to get Rey in front of Snoke.
Oh, wow. That's so cool to think of it like that. Like, Kylo and Rey, like, Kylo's like kind of come to his senses a bit after talking with mommy and realizing that Snoke's using him. He comes back, like, he sees where Rey's at in her training. They burn the tree together. Oh, man. That'd be pretty crazy. Because, like, what's going on behind?
If everybody's kind of flipping sides and playing with allegiances, what if Kylo was flying the Falcon in that shot?
Yeah, hey, true. I'm sure he knows it in and out too.
Wow, man. I think that's too much. Isn't that a bridge too far?
No. Dude, this could be so cool because we know when Luke is on the ground there, and if it is these two putting him down, they're coming back from Acto together. Maybe even Leia went to go send them there. Go get them. Come on. Go get them.
Oh, I'm so confused. I can't wait to see this movie.
So many rabbit holes. This is insane.
All right, finally from Carlos. A space battle. Yes! Kylo and his striker looks to be attacking Leia's ship, but hesitates to kill its past. Is he not taking his own advice, or is this where Leia meets her eventual demise? Yeah, we've given our thoughts on that. I definitely firmly believe Leia's not going to die here. I'm sure we see her again.
I agree as well, and I don't even know if he does
have fun. And Carlos says, P.S. excitement level 10. Abso-friggin-lutely.
Hell yeah. 11. Sorry, Carlos. Loophole.
So there we go. There's a little bit of feedback from the powerful friends. Thank you, guys. That was unbelievable. So, Corey, any? I think we've touched on the main beats of the trailer. Any smaller minutia that you want to bring up?
Not really. I mean, it's all kind of still a blur, you know what I mean? Like, again, just the trailer itself, stunning visually, musically it hooks you right away, with the cellos and the violin, narratively amazing, shocking, extremely shocking. The way they set it up, to have the conversation that we're having right now, we're so incredibly confused. We have no idea who's talking to who, because everything kind of makes sense. Like all these possibilities are like, yeah, like that wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me. I'm not leaning one way or the other, so I'm really happy about not feeling spoiled or I don't know. They just did a great job with this trailer, and I couldn't be more happy to live in these Star Wars times with you and with all the community. It's just, I don't know, man. These are the times.
Yeah, man, these are heady times. Heady times. So glad to have people to be going through this with you guys, and wow, unbelievable. Can't wait to hash this out with everybody else. And I feel bad. I don't feel bad for friends in the UK. Actually, I feel kind of excited for them because they're going to get to wake up to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Freak out all day. Like I have to try and go to bed after this.
Yeah, we're gonna be up till the wee hours.
Yeah. All right, so a couple things. Those Crystal Fox.
Yep.
On Crate.
It looks like they are on Crate, right? And it looks like they're coming to take shelter almost from the oncoming strike.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Porgs are going to have some competition in the end here.
I love these the Kyber Foxes, man.
Imagine that's what they were. Oh my god.
Oof.
The that big dreadnought Star Destroyer. We got a little glimpse of it in the space battle scene. So I think we can pretty much call it. It's going to be part of the evacuation of Dakar.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Nothing about lightsaber fights. No hint of it. No visual. No key. No nothing.
No
nothing
green.
About Luke. Nothing with Luke and his lightsaber.
No black licorice.
Thank God for that. I'd boycott the movie if they brought black licorice in. Yeah. How do you feel about that? Still no indication of Luke with his saber. I like it, right?
Yeah, I do like it. I like it a lot. I like
keep that from us.
I like it, especially like they built the hilt in on most of his toys. He's got a hilt.
And of course, for all we've heard about Mark Hamill's performance in this movie, that it's a big, busy, bold one. We don't see him leave Acto. So how long are they staying on Acto? And it makes me think that they're really keeping Luke's part in this a secret. Like I think there's going to be a big hero moment for Luke at the end still. They just haven't hinted at it at all.
Well, I sure as hell hope so, because from the way this trailer went and the past trailers went, his attitude stinks. But no, like I have empathy, but honestly, like he is really rigidly like seems very opposed to all this and is very reluctant, which is not what he would have expected, I'm sure. It's not what we as fans would have expected, but we've been told to expect that.
Yeah. No Canto Bight. Nothing at all about Canto Bight. For a place that's supposed to be home to a big part of the movie, nothing. And I would have bet money that we would have seen a shot of Finn and Rose, who we also didn't see at all. Like on the back of one of the Falthiers. Racing around, being chased by Canto Bight cops or whoever. I would have bet money that we would have seen that, just to get a sense of the speed of the Falthiers. But nothing on that. Maybe we will in a TV spot, but nothing today.
It kind of keeps the middle act open, really, this trailer, in that sense, and I kind of like that. Like the thing I most love about this trailer, like just kind of trying to process it as quickly as we can, but it really just seems that it's so force laden, so like there's something about it that's like it's just do or die kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's the force now or success now, or like they really focused on the key elements, and again it was really force heavy, family orientated. Man, I'm so appreciative of that they actually gave us that tidbit.
No kidding.
What did they do to us? What have they given us to talk about?
They broke us.
Yeah.
They broke us.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm glad we see a little bit more of the Force back with Luke's hand popping out of the rubble. That was great. But again, like no Rose, no Holdo, no DJ. So some notable omissions here.
And that's okay. Like I said, like it's like they seem to kind of stray away from that whole vibe, and this trailer was very force sensitive, very force heavy, as opposed to being like first order resistance orientated.
Absolutely. Then finally, for me, sort of the big moment at the end, fulfill your destiny. It seems to show Snoke unleashing some pretty strong force telepathy powers. And last week or the week before, Ads had asked us in Ads Edition, what kind of new force powers do you think we'll see? And I think I said almost verbatim that I think we'll just see like force Snoke powers, like amped up, like getting into people's minds and just jacking that right up.
Well, actually, let me correct you there, and let me say, I think it was me who said that, and then you said that you thought that as well.
Well, maybe we'll check the tape.
Either way, I don't even know if I'll call it that, but man, it looks like she's doing the hardcore like limbo there. Like it looks like she's the way Kylo froze that laser bolt in the air. It looks like she's frozen there like that, and her knees are she's almost like a 45-degree angle there, like bent at the knee. So she's obviously just being like frozen in place, you know?
Well, I wonder if she shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be able to stand in that position. So I wonder if she's become so powerful that even Snoke can't take her down. And she's like, if that shot continues a little bit more, you're going to see Rey get a handle on that whole thing, and she's going to stand up and push back on him like she did with Kylo.
I like that. I like that as well. I could see it go either way. I could see it being her just frozen in place by his will, or I could see him trying to impose her will and like push her away or whatever into her destiny, where she's just like said like, no, like I'm defying gravity and I'm glued here.
Yeah, I mean, all of the above, man. I'm burnt, man.
Yeah.
We have so much show left in front of us. So,
dude, scrambled eggs.
What do you say we wrap up talking about the trailer here? I think we've kind of covered the main points. I know we're going to come back to this time and time again between now and December. But where do you rank this? I know right now our head is spinning, so we're probably going to give a crazy answer. But where do you rank this really quickly? Among Star Wars trailers.
I'm gonna give it number 1, bro. Like,
this is your favorite Star Wars trailer?
Yeah. Like granted, again, it's a off the cuff kind of answer, but just off the bat, there were good ones for TFA. Rogue One, they had some pretty good ones, but I don't want to say anything bad about them, but I don't know. This one just got me so in the feels. I liked it better than the other ones for this film, and yeah, I don't know, man. Like the prequels, I'd have to watch them again as well, but I definitely don't remember. I don't know, man. It's hard to say, but for right now, like this is pretty exactly what I was looking for. Especially it went like really force heavy and all that stuff, and just opening up JJ's mystery box,
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's really. Think back to '99, man. Think back to when we first learned about when the Phantom Menace trailer would be dropping, and everybody rushed out to see Meet Joe Black. I mean, Star Wars fans put Meet Joe Black like on the map, the box office map, and then walked out. And that trailer delivered. You can say what you want about the movie, but that trailer was the bomb.
It's hard to remember that far back too, but definitely I'm sure my anticipation level was probably equal to, at least. And
yeah, this is right up there. I mean, Phantom Menace, The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi. Like the trailers have just been unbelievable.
I think
just unbelievable.
Force Awakens, because of that time lapse and where we were going and it being coming up again. Same thing with The Force Awakens.
Well, yeah, those two movies both had the advantage of years and years of buildup. This is 2 years after, 1 year after, if you want to throw Rogue One into the mix, and it just felt like the wait for this trailer was torture. And I know that they didn't wait any longer to deliver it compared to Rogue One or The Force Awakens, but it just felt like forever. Like it was tough waiting this time around.
I gotcha. I'm kind of good like that, but definitely thought about it in the past day, 2 days, and especially today, knowing that it was dropping. Like, I don't know, it's a very anxious, very excited. It's amazing.
It's incredible. Oh man, I can't wait to hear what everybody else thinks. So, are we done? Can we say we're done? Did we do enough on the trailer?
Yeah, I'm done with you, bro.
All right, Corey, let's take a well-earned break here.
Yes.
I need to go like walk this off. I'm still kind of gobsmacked over this trailer. Maybe I'll watch it a couple more times during our break, and then we'll come back and unwind with The Binary Sunset.
I don't want to talk about the trailer anymore. Let's put it to bed till next week, please.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. Corey and I we're gonna watch the trailer probably another dozen times. Come back and tackle The Binary Sunset, kicking it off with ads.
Hello, chaps. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there listening. So, 2 questions this week. The first one, nice and straightforward. You are attending a Star Wars fancy dress party. Who do you go as and why? And who do you think your brother should go as? Okay, second one, more controversial, concerning the age-old debate about how our dear Leia, Carrie Fisher, should be handled in the next 2 films. Now, if we assume that they are telling the truth and that 8 is already in the can and will not be changed, imagine this scenario in number 9. Leia's ship comes under fire, sustaining heavy damages, which allows it to be then boarded by the First Order. Leia is captured and taken prisoner by Snoke or Kylo or Hux perhaps, and either we see her being taken away, or if that's not possible, then we are led to believe that she has been captured. It's implied in the story. The film then continues to its conclusion, whatever that may be, and Leia's outcome is yet unconfirmed. The closing scene then ends on a cliffhanger. Snoke is alive and well. We see him sat in his pristine throne room, surrounded by all of his trophies and splendour. And then the camera pans around, and on the wall, as a decoration, in carbonite, is Leia. Music, credits. So a dark end to the trilogy, with maybe then 10, 11 and 12 to conclude the story in time. Now that either buys more time to decide how best to deal with Leia, or, and I think that would probably be better, leave it there for Leia. Do we have to honour Leia with a happy ending as an alternative to a brave death or an enforced exile? It also warrants consideration as to how the likes of Kylo or Luke would react or would view this. Would they even know about it? You could say perhaps Kylo has arranged it himself as a further connection to him wanting to be Vader. Maybe even a gift to Snoke. However, and again, this is what I would rather, perhaps it's just a nod to the viewer alone and no one else actually knows that Leia is there in carbonite as a trophy of Snoke's. So, controversial, but as always, I would love to hear your thoughts. Happy Thanksgiving again, dudes, and I shall speak to you again next week. Take care. Bye.
And there he goes, the dulcet tones of the inimitable first night of the Commonwealth. It's ads. Ads, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the well wishes on our Thanksgiving. Much appreciated. And your question is much appreciated as always.
Yeah. We
So, Corey,
give thanks.
We give thanks. All right, Corey. So you're going to the big gala in the galaxy far, far away. Who are you going as?
It's kind of funny. I started taking a look at the show notes last night. I'd been doing a little drinking. So yeah, my answer was kind of a little skewed at the end. My final answer, but that's a good one. So we'll save that to the end. But I took it in a few different ways. I think the obvious answer here is Lando. How can you not want to go as Lando? I mean, we've already here casted him as a movie star, a radio personality, president of the United States. But in reality, he's an entrepreneur. He's cultured. He's a spy. He's a soldier. He's a general. He's a scoundrel. He's pretty much all in all that, like, perfect for that role. You know, it should be Count Lando.
That Count Calrissian. That kind of makes a lot of sense.
That has a sweet ring to it. Count Calrissian.
And it's tough to beat Lando. It's tough to beat Lando. I took a very specific spin to the question, and I'm going as Luke, only because I want to wear his space tux. And if you're not following the comics, you have no idea what I'm talking about. In the Screaming Citadel crossover, he goes to a party, a dinner, a gala with Dr. Aphra, who looked stunning in her own right, but the tux that Luke is wearing is amazing. I would kill to have one. Picture a mashup of a James Bond fitted tux meets Luke's costume from Return of the Jedi with a generous helping of Seinfeld puffy shirt. Mash all that together. There's Luke's tux. I want that. I can't imagine going to a party dressed as anything different.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It'd definitely be a part of the Matrix.
It's such a good tux. And they devoted such a big panel on the page to it too. I was like, wow, look at Luke. He looks amazing. The tux is awesome.
Yeah, we should call that out.
God.
Who would be a designer in the Star Wars universe? But okay, I took it in a different way because there's actually an episode. I didn't do the research and look for it, but Firefly, Han and Malcolm Reynolds they're the same character really. So you take Han to a ball. He's got no etiquette, no manner. So you're in for some adventure and bound for some trouble, kind of. In a way, it's going to be one of those wild nights.
No kidding. That's. I think that's a foregone conclusion. Yeah, you got to bring your brass knuckles that night for sure.
Yeah.
So ads also asked, who would your brother go as? So I'm gonna have to take a stab in the dark here. I think you might go as definitely in that scoundrel vein, but I could send you as Hondo. You might class it up a little bit as far as dress goes. But Lando seems like a pretty good spot for you. I don't know. Well, I'll think about it some more. Who are you sending me as?
Well, it depends. Like, I still got one more answer for myself. That's my big one. That's who I'm really choosing. But I kind of thought about it, and I'm gonna go as Han with you in my scenario with the no etiquette scenario and the adventure, and we're bound for trouble. And in that regard, you're going as Chewie. You're just going to be the guy that...
Minus 2 feet in height?
Well, whatever. You're going to have all his strength.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Deal.
You have all his strength. You can rip the arms off... whatever. You could do it. And, that way I can run my mouth off 2 times more. You just got my back.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that. Chewie is my guy. Who could I? It's too easy to send you as Poe. Hondo, Poe, Lando. Everything ends with O with you. Wow. Let's say I'm going to send you as Maydeen with a fake beard.
Oh, geez, dude. I thought about that for you, and I was like, no. I was like, that's just a horrible answer. I'm going to scratch it out right now.
How about I'll send you as Krennic with that lovely cape.
I definitely like where you're going with the cape, but Krennic's so like anal retentive. Like,
He's never had a day of fun in his whole life.
yeah, exactly. So I'll tell you who I'm going with my final answer. My final answer, who I'm really gonna go is, because like I said, I was doing a little drinking last night when I answered the questions from the listener portion, anyhow, because I always find that's a little fun. But for some reason, I started thinking like Masquerade Ball. Like I got all Eyes Wide Shut. And anyway, I'm gonna be Obi-Wan, and I'm gonna bring the sass. I'm bringing the sass with the Obi-Wan for a party like that. It's all about the sass. He can carry himself well.
You're going to be wearing the whole Jedi robe thing to a party?
No, man. Luke, look at Luke. He can dress up in a tux if he wants every now and again. No,
I guess so. It's just that I've seen Luke in a tux now.
It's not all robes all the time. Hopefully, but even at that, I'm still killing it. I got my masquerade mask on and stuff. It's on, and in that scenario, I'm taking you with me as Hot Callus, wingman.
Ooh,
yeah,
damn. Hot Callus is a good pick too.
He's definitely smooth with the ladies, no doubt.
Yeah, sticking with Rebels. I mean, I could send you as Ezra.
Thanks, man.
Oh, and I'll throw in Chopper for good measure.
Well, that would definitely be pretty fun. Anyhow.
All right, so Ads puts the boots to us with question 2, and we've spoken about Leia and Carrie Fisher and how to treat her with regards to closing up her story arc. So let's have at it again since we've been asked. I do like this question because you never know how your mind may change over time. Did you find there was sort of like an underrated sense of drama to Ads reading here? I thought there was very dramatic reading. There's a nice dramatic pacing to the way he read that. I thought it was lovely. Ads, do you do that with your kids? Like, do you put do you act out the stories when you read bedtime stories to your kids?
I think you already asked him this, and I think the response was that yes, he does a mean Hagrid, and if I'm mistaken, I don't think I'm mistaken either, and that Kyle, you should start reading Harry Potter. Boom.
That's not going to happen. I can't read Star Wars. I can't read enough Star Wars to keep up. I'm not going to get to Harry Potter.
Do it for your
not
children, man. Chapter at a time.
They want to read Star Wars.
Well, you've fully brainwashed them, haven't you?
I just put it on the table, man. If they scoop it up, that's them.
You put the toothpicks in their eyes. Sit down. Watch this.
They choose wisely. Hey, man, Showcase had a Star Wars marathon running all Thanksgiving weekend. What do you think we watched? It was amazing. It was just one movie after another.
Hey, I'm on the same page with you. It was kind of crazy. I held off on the original trilogy, but last night I caught most of the Phantom Menace and all of Attack of the Clones.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey,
my sympathies.
No, you know what? I have to say, I honestly have to say, it's the best viewing I have ever had of Attack of the Clones. Honestly, it's the time where I've seen it and I've said, you know what? It is like I've been able to swallow it so much easier, and I actually kind of enjoyed it.
No, I get you.
Like I actually,
you have to take off the cynical blinders.
I really did, man, and like I don't know when the last time I saw this film was. It must have been like, I mean, couple years, man. Like I'm saying, like maybe, 5 years, 6 years, probably even more. Like I don't know. I shut it out and. Anyhow, I really enjoyed it. Even the scenes between Anakin and Padme didn't rub me as badly as I thought they might have. I was like, okay, it's coming. Here comes the apple. And I'm like, hey, you know what?
Oh, no, come on. That it's bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad, but like, I don't know. It didn't bother me as much as it did in the past.
Yeah, that scene, the scene in the fireplace room. Oof. There's some, oh man. Anyway, no, I get your point. Overall, we watched Attack of the Clones this weekend as well, and whatever. It's my least favorite, but that's not saying I hate it. But there's just some things about it that, wow, do not hold up very well, including many of the effects. Let's go. All right, back on Leia. So, does Leia's story have to wrap up in 9, Corey?
Personally, I would think so. Not from a certain point of view, no. But a lot of people aren't on that page. But for me, like, I'm kind of hoping that 9 has somewhat of a conclusion. I know it's JJ in the mystery box, so we're probably going to get some ambiguity. Who knows if we're going to go and get 10, 11, 12, or maybe even just 10. Who knows? But I don't think they're going to prolong her story. I'd like to see a bit of a happy ending in this one anyhow. I'd like to see the good guys come out on top. To end a trilogy on a sad note would kind of be sad. And
yeah,
in a way with the character, you kind of, I think at this point they got to deal with it kind of like a Band-Aid. Like, we know we're not moving forward with this character in the long run. So to keep it in isolation with the expected outcome of having something with the character in the future, if we leave that ambiguity, sadly, like, it's been forced upon them, and I think now is the absolute appropriate time to deal with it. In regards to ambiguity, like, I think a lot of people are kind of not on this page, but I think Leia, and we as fans, the wink and nod to the fans, like you had mentioned, I think that could be in the sense more from a Force standpoint. We know she's not a Jedi, but come on, it's Leia. Not only it's Leia, it's Carrie Fisher. If anyone can become a Force ghost or whatever it is in the afterlife, it's her. Like, she's stubborn enough, she's smart enough.
I'm going to continue to disagree on that one until the day I die.
That's fine. I mean, that's just the way I see it. I definitely want to know that Leia's, whatever happens to her character, that she's in a better place. Like, I don't want to see her kind of, like, we don't know what happened. Okay, she went with the bad guy. Well, we don't know what's going to happen. And at that point, it's kind of like they're prolonging the inevitable.
I hear you. As far as the Force Ghost thing, that's one thing I haven't moved on. I know they're going to want to make us feel good about Leia's, Leia's ultimate fate. But that's just such an easy, obvious place to go, the Force Ghost thing. It really contravenes everything they've told us about Leia and about Force ghosting. It's not something you can just do. Unless they somehow swing it that Anakin did it for her somehow, then you have to explain that. They're not going to have time for that. This isn't Anakin's story, really.
Okay, so let's not necessarily say that she's a Force ghost per se, but she's a part of the Force, and fandom is able to say, like, oh my god, that's a nod to Leia, without having to be like an actual apparition.
No, I could see, after her death and at the end of the movie, because I think that now, again, more than ever, that Luke is going to survive this trilogy. I don't think they're going to kill both Skywalkers in 9. I think that's too dark. I think that's too heavy for too many fans to swallow, no matter how bright and happy they make it for Poe and Rey and Finn and everybody else. I think it's too much to kill both Skywalkers. So if Luke lives, I'm hoping at this point that he kind of does. And we know Leia's probably going to die. I can see a scene with, Rey and Luke at the end, or somebody with Luke, and they're kind of expressing condolences, regret. I can't believe she's gone, kind of thing. And Luke says, "She's not gone. I can feel her.
She's here with us right now." That's kind of cool, yeah.
And that would echo Leia saying that about Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi, where when Han says, "I'm sure Luke wasn't on that thing when it blew."
Yep.
And she says, "He wasn't. I can feel it." So I would think that it would be nice to echo that, mirror that, but in the inverse, where Luke says, "No, I can still feel my sister. She's not gone, but she's not a Force ghost either," because I still think that's a cheap and lazy way to fabricate feels within us when you don't have to do that. There's other ways.
No,
but yes,
I know what you mean about the Force ghost. I kind of still want to see it a bit, but there's other ways where you say, like, if they would have established that she had an attachment to an animal or something like that you could see that animal afterward and kind of associate it with her. but they could do it in the way of like, I don't know, like say it's a happy ending for everybody, pan out, and you see like not a reflection of her per se, but her silhouette on the water, like that's being portrayed by the moon. It's like as an illusion or something, you know?
Yeah, I can see them doing something to that effect without saying, "Well, look, she managed to do it because reasons. She's a Force ghost." But yeah, I think Leia's story has to wrap up in this trilogy. Just to answer Ad's question bluntly, I don't think they can string this out in hopes with coming up with a better solution years from now when we're not so hot and bothered about her Carrie not being here. But I don't know if it necessarily has to be a happy ending, but it does have to be a dignified, meaningful, and sort of respectful end to the character and for Carrie.
Yeah. I was going to say meaningful in the long run.
Yeah, and Mark Hamill, I think he kind of echoed that this past weekend at New York Comic Con. I think he said, "You're really going to love her in The Last Jedi. I know they're going to try and find a way to close her story in Episode 9 that gives her the respect she deserves because Han Solo was more prominent in 7 and Luke's a little more prominent in 8, and certainly Leia was meant to be more prominent in 9. So I don't know what he knows about 9, if anything, but he's echoing what we all kind of know or feel, that they're going to try and close this out for her in a way that pays respect to Carrie and to Leia. So I don't think she's going to just go out like flame out and it's not going to mean anything. It's going to be a very poignant and like meaningful death, I think.
Well, I still have to think that like you just mentioned, Kathleen Kennedy had said the exact same thing in the sense that 7 was, I guess, Rey's movie and Han's movie. 8 was Luke's, and 9 was to be Leia's. So that being the case, we've also heard that Leia is supposed to be injured in this film and kind of sat on the sidelines a bit. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that.
Yeah, maybe that was an old abandoned thing. We don't even know if that's going to happen. So we kind of seen or heard rumors of Leia's presence throughout the film. So I don't, unless there's a big time jump in the movie, like we kind of assume she's going to be at the beginning. Maybe she gets injured during the evacuation of the car.
Exactly. That's kind of the way I saw it in a way. And then she kind of wakes up at the end, but it's kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's it, right? I mean, if logically where it makes sense for her to get injured is
on Crate.
Well, the evacuation of Dakar. That's where it makes sense.
Well, now circumstances kind of say that.
But now if they, but again unchanged, right? If they were gonna rejig things, then you make that injury happen at the end on Crate, as we suspect Crate is the final setting of the movie. Then yeah, she carries over into 9, and she's in a comatose state, or who knows? But I don't think it's going to be that way.
Well, I think they're very.
Right? That Rian Johnson has said that she gives a full performance in 8, which to me means she's like pretty well featured across the rumored 2.5 hours.
I don't know. To quote Costanza, it's not a lie if you believe it. I honestly think that there's a possibility that the footage that they've played with and work with and changed the story a bit, even though they said they haven't. It's a play on words. It's going to be interesting, again, just to see how they deal with it. I don't know. I think the injury makes more sense toward the end of the film. Having it at the beginning kind of takes her out of the better part of the movie, and then she's not really going to have a chance to be in episode 9. So I don't know.
Yeah, not a lot makes sense right now. I will give you that. Not a lot makes sense. But again, the whole thing where 8 is unchanged, and we don't know what is contained within The Last Jedi, so it's impossible for us to say. But whatever they put down on paper when they wrote the script is what they carried out, I would think. So whether Leia's hurt at the beginning or the end or the middle, no idea. But we've heard them say, especially Rian Johnson, that Leia has given a full rounded performance that we're gonna love. Seems to be that indicates to me that she's got a pretty heavy role.
No, I agree.
Anyway,
That's gonna be so emotional.
oh, her theme is going to be all over this movie, I would think. Oh, and it's gonna just pull at our heartstrings every time it swells in the score, and it's gonna be rough, man.
As soon as we see her on screen, it's gonna be all hands on deck,
Yeah, I mean we felt that way during the trailer.
Yep.
There she is, last time. Oh God. Okay, so what about Ad's suggestion of? So he gave us a sort of an ambiguous ending for Leia. Now, what the visual of Leia in carbonite in Snoke's chamber as Episode 9 comes to a close? How does that rub you?
It is something I've never considered before, and it's kind of a horrifying, traumatizing image.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to see it. I don't know what goes on in your head. I don't know you anymore, Ads. No, I'm joking. It's really interesting. Like, wow. Just thinking about it, that would be the ultimate tug at all strings. And if JJ's playing the mystery box thing and they're continuing the saga and they're leaving this saga on, the cliffhanger ending, I kind of, again, want to see it all wrapped up. But if they were to leave it on that cliffhanger, that would kind of be the way to do it. But again, you're kind of writing yourself into a corner with what you're going to do with her, kind of.
Well, it is a tantalizing thing, and if Carrie was still here and you made that suggestion, oh, okay, fine. We're going to get more Carrie Fisher, more Princess Leia, great. But now that she's gone, holy smokes! To end the movie like that, for one, it would be like a jaw-dropping, holy shit moment. Like you would not believe what you had just seen. You'd be absolutely blown away. In a good or bad way, I don't know. I guess your mileage may vary. But you would be completely dumbfounded by what you've just seen. And once the dust settles, what are people going to say? I think in some cases, people will be like, amazing. This is going to be great. We're getting more. And in other cases, some people will be absolutely outraged that this is how they would treat Leia's final story, or Carrie Fisher's final round as Leia. That would be controversial. No question about that.
Very.
Holy smokes, to see her just like slapped up on a wall like that would be so controversial. Enough to say that I'm pretty confident that they would not do that. But and it's also so cold. That is so twisted, man.
It's definitely a cool visual.
It's striking. It is. And you said it's traumatizing. It would be traumatizing to see Leia in that state.
Yeah, it's a total
man. Oh man,
suck the air right out of your lungs.
It'd be a gut punch because who knows when we get Episode 10. If we get it, I mean, I'm sure we will, but it could be years before we see that revisited. So anyway, but it does kind of seem to fit with the narrative, right? Kylo seems to have an axe to grind against his parents, and he wants to really please Snoke, and Snoke loves decadence, and well, from the sounds of it anyway, and it sounds like maybe he likes trophies, and having Kylo deliver Leia to Snoke kind of lines up a little bit. Like, this could have been a great alternate storyline. Like in another universe, maybe this is how The Last Jedi plays out.
With the ultimate end goal to save her. Or end up saving
then
her.
Episode 9 would become like a mission to save Leia or something like that. But yeah, that's man. I'm fairly confident in saying that's not how 9's going to end. I'm pretty sure they're going to wrap it all up for her in a respectful way.
I would definitely
put that would be a shocker. Oh my goodness.
I would put everything I own on the line, including every Star Wars toy. That's not the case for Episode 9.
Yeah, I would put my X-Wing Luke on the line for that. You want to make a bet? I'll put X-Wing Luke if you want to take that bet.
Well, I don't want to be so haphazard with that, because come on, bro. We all know you're gonna succumb at one point.
I don't know about that.
Dig deep.
Anyway,
dig deep. Search your feelings.
I'm dead inside. Anyway, like I said, my final thoughts on this, I'll just echo what I said before. I think Carrie's death, unfortunately, screwed everything up for them, and possibly even Trevorrow's participation in the whole project. Like I think Luke was going to die in episode 9, and Leia was going to live beyond 9 as the elder stateswoman of not only the Resistance, but of the galaxy. I think she would have restored her name. Remember, she lost all of her credibility as a politician in Bloodline, right? Nobody took her seriously. The whole thing with the First Order, people laughed it all off. But by toppling the First Order, the same people that destroyed Hosnian Prime, her reputation would have been restored. She would have been back there as the galaxy's most respected and revered politician. I think that could have been part of episode 10, 11, 12. But that's certainly not going to happen now unless JJ pulls some serious rank at Lucasfilm and manages to bring Leia back in a recast. That's kind of what I think. Like I said, I don't think Luke dies at this point.
Yeah, makes sense.
All right, ads. There you go, sir. Hope we answered your questions. I love talking about Leia. There's so many layers to it, and it's a good way to get passions inflamed. I love it. And now we move on to Bradley. Bradley's got a couple questions for us this week, so let's have at it. So, hey, Kyle and Corey, hope your week has gone well. As I write this, we are just 3 days away from The Last Jedi trailer, and my Star Wars excitement meter is starting to ramp up. Starting to ramp up? Bradley, we're not doing our job if it's just starting. Almost there. My questions this week are somewhat short but sweet. Right after seeing The Force Awakens, who did you think Rey was? Did you think she was a Skywalker, Kenobi, Solo, or belonged to another family that we haven't heard of yet? Walking out of the theater, after seeing it for the first time, I was convinced that she was a Skywalker. No doubt she was a Skywalker. Since that time, I've gone back and forth on all of the above. Over the past year, I've mainly thought of her as a Kenobi or a Solo, but as we draw closer to The Last Jedi, I'm starting to come around on her being a Skywalker again. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm starting to feel this way, because I haven't been listening to any podcast that would be persuading me one way or the other. Am I the only one that is feeling this way at the moment? Powerful friends, I need your love and support through these uncertain times. Kyle and Corey, have your thoughts wavered at all? If so, where do you stand on this matter, and who do you think she is now? Well, that's it for this week, guys. Have a great show and a wonderful weekend. Oh, more questions. Are you ready for some football? Football. Take care, my friends, and may the Force be with you. Cheers, Bradley. All right, Corey. Let's talk more about Rey. Let's go back a couple years. What did you think, or who did you think Rey was?
Well, first of all, I just want to touch back on saying that I'm on the same page as Bradley in the sense that I feel like we're in a whole different time period of excitement now. Like the floodgates have been open at this point. My anticipation level, my energy level kind of just feels like, even though it was big before, it's been amped up in a big way. And to anyone listening right now, like, I just want to say, everyone, man, just relish in these times, man. This is the empire of the 21st century. I'd put money on it, man, that we're all going to be like, what the hell just happened there? So I'm looking forward to it, and I'm feeling it in a big, big way, and it definitely feels different now.
Yeah, I mean, it's so we're kind of entering that final countdown. We've got the trailer. We've got everything we need now. It's all about chipping away these final 60-something days until we get to sit in that theater and watch the absolute craziness unfold.
Okay,
right.
So touching back on Rey.
Walking out of the theater.
Well,
do you remember who you thought she was before seeing The Force Awakens?
Well, yeah, that's it. Previewing, I was convinced she was either a Solo Organa or a Skywalker. Never a Kenobi. That never even crossed my mind till well into doing this show. I was pretty blind to spoilers. Like, I had watched the trailers and whatnot and read a few things here and there. Kyle and I had discussed things. Kyle more or less kept me in the loop about a lot of stuff. But beforehand, yeah, I thought for sure she was a Skywalker for the most part. After viewing, I definitely excluded solo Organa option right away. Like, I was just gone for me the way the movie played out.
Yep, me too. Yeah, for like before The Force Awakens, I thought I was under the impression that it was probably going to be Luke's daughter, and I left the theater convinced, absolutely convinced, like Bradley, like so many others. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't she be a Skywalker? Why else would that saber call to her? That's the Skywalker family lightsaber. She has to be. She's gone to meet her dad. But then as we spoke more and more about it in the weeks that followed doing this podcast, I thought, I don't think it's possible. I don't think she can be a Skywalker. And of course that was assisted by other opinions out in fandom. But the thing that kept coming back to me is that unless he told her, Luke tells Rey right away in episode 8 that, hey, I'm your dad. Nice to meet you. Like, it doesn't make sense because he'd be repeating the same glaring omission that he was so upset with Obi-Wan and Yoda for. He was so angry with them for not being upfront about who Vader really was. And
you kind of mean the same glaring omission that Leia failed to make with Kylo, Scarface.
It keeps repeating. They keep making mistakes, right?
I banged on that a long time ago. I remember going back and forth with Talk Star Wars. I sent them a question on this way, like probably about a year before Leia's or Carrie Fisher's passing. I kind of went on I got on my soapbox, and I was really upset about the fact that they never let Kylo Ren know. Like, knowing how it made them feel as young adults. Like, what did they care about more? Their political, like, position in the galaxy? Or, they should have just, like, a Band-Aid again. And, this is the way it is. This is who we are. We're not him. Point. Like, move on. But, no, they self-inflicted wounds.
Well, yeah, Leia had always intended to tell him, right?
Always intended.
I don't know. Again, who's going to question Leia's integrity, right? I think if Leia says, I always meant to tell him, her reasons for not telling him are probably good ones. Now, I don't think she's pulling an Obi-Wan certain point of view PTSD type thing.
I don't know, man. Like, at that age, before sending him to Luke, that should have been done.
Maybe we're going to learn about Kylo that he's been an emotional tempest his entire life, and telling him at any age, especially as a hormonal, irrational teenager, would have been just like the worst thing to tell him.
Yeah, that's why it's got to be done kind of even a younger age than that.
So maybe Leia sends him to Luke so that he can get his dark tendencies and his bad temper under control, and then tell him.
No, it's
but
more
that
like
rug was pulled out from under her feet.
Luke. Kylo's just like, I hate you. I'm going to live with Uncle Luke.
Oh God, yeah. Anyway, I was convinced Rey was a Skywalker for quite a while. I don't think I ever really seriously considered her being a Solo. I don't know that I ever really considered. I'd have to go back and listen to our early episodes, which I really don't want to do.
Nathan had brought some interesting points last week in the sense that a lot of the stuff that had been filmed, it looked like that's where they were originally going, and it had been reconstructed in a way. The way Han looks at her, their relationship. But
yeah,
it's
certainly possible, but certainly in the version that we got, there's no way.
No.
Wisely, I think, because I'd feel betrayed a little bit if I learned that Han, I could see he's a bit of a dirtbag at times, but Leia abandoning her child is just not something I could get my head around. Especially
like the way circumstances are right now. It would just take away, like you just said, like it would take away from Leia so much.
I think so, unless Rey was taken away from Leia.
Yeah, but
anyway,
yeah.
Let's not go back down that rabbit hole. So as we get closer to The Last Jedi, I'm not really back on the she's a Skywalker train. I think that train has sort of left the station for me. I don't think I'm going back there. I do think Luke knows who her parents are, if that's any consolation. I would put a lot of money on Luke knowing who she is and where she comes from. And actually, you know what? I think we're going to take our first step down that path starting next month in Star Wars issue 38 when Luke goes to Jeddah. I think that's the first little teeny tiny step down the path to this point in time.
Journey 2.
I guess. Where are you at now, Corey? Is Rey just still a somebody else? A part of her own family? Rey is Rey?
I'm kind of still extremely confused. One thing I'm going to say is that Kathleen Kennedy can be quoted as saying something along the lines of, her parentage is kind of a big deal. And it's going to be explained within The Last Jedi. And Rian Johnson said something along the lines of, whoever it is, it doesn't affect who she is. Like, she's just Rey of Jakku at this point. She is who she is, regardless of who her parentage is. That being the case, to me, it means that her parentage or lineage is a recognizable one. Because they're kind of like building it up and taking it down at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, okay, it's recognizable, but don't look too far into it. So there's kind of that aspect to it to me. So I do think that it possibly still can be someone that we're familiar with in this trilogy. But
Star Wars fans don't do anything halfway. Like, if we know the names of the people, if we ever find out the names of the mother, father, we're going to go crazy. That we don't do things at half speed.
Well, that's why it makes me think that it's more someone closer related to our fandom. Like someone that we're very near and dear to.
Well, that's what I mean. If we find out it, insert name here. I don't know who you're referring to, if anyone's specific, but we're going to just go crazy, and we're going to think it's the most amazing thing ever, and then wonder why it's not a bigger deal. We're going to go, oh, it sells that character short that Rey is blah, blah, blah. I think that's possibly how we would react. So the way I think about it is, so I think Rian Johnson said that who her parents are is interesting, but not important. So I tend to think that, like, whoever her parents are, like, we may not recognize them by name, but we'll recognize the group that they're with or from.
Okay.
And in that case, like, let's just say they're members of the Church of the Force. We go, oh, cool, well, great, that makes a lot of sense, but not interesting because we don't know about these two people, the mother, father. So you kind of, you don't get that opportunity to read too much into it. Because we always read too much into things. I don't think they're going to give us that opportunity.
We'll see. I don't know. The only thing that I'm thinking, like, I'm on my two options right now are what you just said, is that they're these people that are part of the Church of the Force and kind of like nobodies, but we recognize what they're representing and who they are and the importance of who she is to be. Like, they know how important she is, so they kind of, for some reason, have to send her to Jakku. My other option that I'm still kind of leaning toward is that she is indeed a Skywalker, but not necessarily of the descent of Luke. She doesn't necessarily, I mean, we read that article back in the day. It's still way embedded in my brain. Bradley, I might have heard us talk about it. The Boys from Brazil. There was this article that was put out about a year ago, 2 years ago, about that, and I don't want to say clone of Anakin, but I don't know, essence of, like, let's just say maybe all chosen ones or something, maybe made of the same stuff. I don't know. I could see her still being a what do you call it?
From a genetic standpoint, she's still a Skywalker because she comes from Anakin, ergo she's related to Luke.
Yeah, well, there's that. So she is related to Luke for sure in that regard. Like, I'm kind of your grandfather in a way. But not only that, but just let's just say that she's so powerful. Like, I don't want. I really would hate if they went down this path again, like with the no parents deal.
Oh, that she was just sort of born from the Force?
Yeah, like a virgin's.
No, please, no.
I don't think they're going there, trust me. But I don't know. I still think it's closely related to what we're... One of the characters, but I'm so torn as well. Like, I could see it being a nobody, and then we just know what they're representing.
I mean, I don't know if I triggered my own thought process here, but I could see her being the daughter of two members of the Church of the Force, which is why Lor San Tekka sort of seems to be positioned in a place to maybe watch out for her.
Well, it makes sense. We've always said that Lor San Tekka, I don't think it's a coincidence he's on Jakku as well.
None of this can be a coincidence. The Falcon's there, Lor San Tekka's there, Rey is there. Come on. It can't be, right?
It's the Wills.
Yeah, well, and the Guardians of the Wills. Maybe they play somehow a role into this. Who knows? But let's say I'll pie chart it. I'm going to put it at 2% she's Luke's daughter, 0% she's Han's daughter. I will go 3% Kenobi's granddaughter, and then 95% she's somebody else. That's where my head's at right now. I like her being a Kenobi more than Luke's daughter, I think. I think some of the theories that are out there making her a Kenobi granddaughter make sense, but then I would absolutely hate how they retcon Obi-Wan into not as being as devout a Jedi as we grew up thinking he was. Like, we know that he had his relationship with Satine, but I think it would alter too much about Obi-Wan's character if we found out that he had a daughter at some point, or a child at some point, and then along came Rey.
Yeah, that's where there is a nice symmetry. Standalone.
Maybe, but I think they got to tread carefully. Tread very carefully with that.
Yep.
Obi-Wan's become an even more beloved character in the last, say, 15 years since the prequels than maybe ever before. The Clone Wars did a ton for Obi-Wan. Even Rebels has done a ton for Obi-Wan now in just one quick episode. Very careful if you're going to start tampering with Obi-Wan's past in a very fundamental way. It risks altering everything we've come to understand about Obi-Wan. So there you go. Bradley, great question. Well, and I think we're gonna get some answers. I hope we get some answers. In a couple months. It's almost there. All right. Bradley, we'll hear from you again next week, sir. Thank you very much. And we move on to Carlos. And Carlos this week says, just wondering if you guys think Jyn Erso had Force ability. Her mother gives her a kyber crystal necklace, and 2 minutes later, she's able to calm her mind and stabilize the lantern. Once it's on, she exhales as if was exerting. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. It does, however, make me think that the story group was trying to prime the fans for seemingly regular characters to be able to use the Force, like, say, Finn. That's not how the Force works. Is it a slap in the face of rigid fans who worship at the altar of the Jedi? What are your thoughts? So, Corey, what are your thoughts? Does Jyn have any Force ability?
I'm kind of on the same page in saying that I think we all do to a certain degree and from a certain point of view. But Jyn's mom, she wasn't necessarily Force sensitive, but she believed in the nature of the Force. She believed she could feel the Force, which as a reader, you assume to be true. Like, she is feeling the living Force. So I think, certain characters, certain strong characters like Jyn, I think that crystal would have enabled her more to get in touch with the Force, but more from the sense that, if she was panicking in that moment with the lantern, the Force kind of exuded maybe more of a calming essence over her, which she was more easily able to receive, but not necessarily know what she's receiving, kind of. I don't see her as being someone that's, ever going to be able to wield a lightsaber or something like that, but I do see...
Not anymore.
No. But individuals, I do see them at one point, like Finn, like you'd mentioned, basically more like having a faith and belief in the Force and it working out for them, as we saw with kind of like Chirrut and Baze. Maybe not so much Baze. He had lost faith. But Chirrut, you can maybe think he's definitely not a Jedi, but he had a strong belief and faith, and it's clearly evident in his last scene of the film.
Sure. Yeah, his sort of faith in the Force was sort of reborn.
But I do believe that kyber crystal does kind of exude or project and influence her or help her to get going into the right direction in a way.
Yeah, I think this most solid foundation for this argument goes back into Catalyst, where, like you said, you touched on it, that Lyra... it's explicitly said that Lyra could not use the Force, but she could feel it, and that was good enough for her. So I don't think there's any illusions there. And go back to the making of the Return of the Jedi book, the J.W. Rinsler stuff, these Bibles of Star Wars history. Everybody can feel the Force. These are words from George Lucas. Everybody is able to touch the Force. So
it's just how firmly and strongly you believe. Like, again,
no, it was a matter of training.
Well, it
wasn't necessarily belief. It was more
a matter of
I'm gonna
both.
Yeah, I guess you have to believe in it in order to practice it, but
you
I couldn't just be like, I believe in the Force and I'm going to feel it. It was a matter of having to practice.
Oh, for sure.
In the same way that you, like Lucas said, yoga.
Exactly.
I can believe in the benefits of yoga, but if I don't actually do the yoga, I'm not going to reap those benefits. So,
like Chirrut's the best example of that. Like, just in meeting Jyn, he senses her kyber crystal, right? Like, there's something about her that she's exuding, she doesn't even know it, and he's able to pick up on.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Chirrut's a whole different story. I mean, we could talk about Chirrut some other time. But Jyn was separated from both of her parents when she was like 6, right? So was Lyra able to teach Jyn how to feel the Force as well? Why not, right? I mean, if Lyra could, in fact, teach it. She was a teacher, I think, right? Or was that Galen? Which one was the teacher? I can't remember. Were either a teacher? I seem to think one was an educator at some point. But anyway, I could see Lyra...
telling her about the Force,
especially when they're down on this farm, right? They've got nothing to do all day.
Well, they used to go for hikes and stuff too. Sure,
but I mean, I think they had plenty of time to sit together as a family or just mother-daughter, and
she
connect to this energy field.
And Jyn went with her as well on some of the expeditions that she was out on.
Sure. Yeah, and in my mind, Jyn could feel the Force just like her mom, even though she couldn't use it to her own ends or for her own purposes. It brought her tranquility, something she didn't enjoy very much of in her life. But it's either she can definitely legitimately feel it in the way her mom did, and it brought her peace and focus and whatnot, or the kyber crystal that she has that she kind of squeezes it and closes her eyes. It just reminds her of her mother and brings her comfort that way. It's one or the other, but I tend to think that she could feel something. I think we're on the same page there.
Yep, definitely. Like even if it's just a tremor, I think it borderlines on belief again. That where it's so slight, it's almost like a realization. It's like living here on this earth, and like, if you take a time to just like enjoy everything for a second, you can feel the true nature of things at times, and it's like, okay, I'm feeling it, it's almost like religion for them in a way,
Yeah. I mean, I never, like Carlos gave the example of the lantern stabilizing. I had never even considered that. I'll have to go back and sort of watch that scene again and see if maybe they were trying to point at something there. It's possible, but I don't think Jin had any latent force powers at her disposal.
But I do believe that Kyber Crystal did, again, exude something on some kind of calming effect. It helped her.
Yeah, I mean, we're learning more about these crystals as we go along. Obviously they're powerful, and they seem to be semi-sentient things.
Almost symbiotic.
So, sure. But it's interesting. This kind of ties into a piece of news this week that we didn't really get into, but early drafts of Rogue One had a blind Jedi in the script, and they were pulling somebody from, I think it was the Force Unleashed video game. I think his name was like Rome Kota or something like that. And that character eventually morphed in Chirrut. And my initial thought on that was, why didn't they do that? Like, again, like having legit Jedi in Rogue One was the last thing I needed to make it a complete Star Wars experience for me. But in retrospect, I think it was the prudent move to not have Jedi in the movie. We didn't need another Jedi kicking around, right? At the time of A New Hope. Just muddies the water, right? We've already got Kanan and Ezra as loose ends.
Yeah, it could have been cool to have one hanging around Jeddah, but no, it kind of makes sense to morph him into Chirrut.
Yeah, and then folding in the Guardians of the Wills and opening up that door. I like what they eventually did. It's more responsible, I think.
Yeah, it opens more story possibilities as well, in a sense that, now you have these Church of the Force, the Guardians of the Wills guys, like.
Yeah, but I think it's clear as day that the various writers, starting with, wow, geez, how many writers were there on Rogue One? So many. But I think they grappled hard with the idea of including Jedi in this movie somehow. I think they really, really wanted to get Jedi into it, just couldn't make it stick. And again, from resurrecting this Rome Kota to remember that old story of making Lyra a Jedi.
Yep.
Remember that story from
oh yeah,
it's from the Breznican exposés early, I think from April of this year or so. I think it's clear they wanted to have a straggler Jedi in the flick, but they backed off. But I still a big piece of me would have liked to have seen Lyra igniting a lightsaber to defend her family against Krennic and the Death Troopers. I think that would have been incredible. But it would have
true. It would have been a nice way to start the film.
It would have been so nice. That's all I probably would have needed to say. We got a Jedi. And this is still like a couple years post Revenge of the Sith. In that arena, it would have made more sense that maybe there's a straggler still kicking around. I would have bought that. And she's just outnumbered, and the Death Troopers take her out. I would love to have seen that. But again, then we really would have amped up the whole, is Jen a Jedi type thing. We really would have went off the deep end with that discussion then, when we really wouldn't have needed to. Anyway, that's a roundabout way, Carlos, of saying I think Jin could feel the Force. She tried hard enough to feel it. She was instructed by her mom. Maybe somebody else that we haven't heard about yet, but yeah.
And also, I don't know if she was super receptive to it either. Like, she seemed like her life, she's lucky to have had that influence. It helped her, gave her, like, it's almost like a good luck charm in a sense, because I don't see her being all that, being like, the Force is great, and blah, 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 like, spreading the word of the Force. Like, she was pretty, her situation wasn't all that great, so I could see her being a little pessimistic.
A little, yeah. All right, thanks, Carlos. That was a great question. You can get so much mileage out of that one. So if anybody out there has a diverging opinion, let us know. I think there's still stuff to talk about there. All right, from here we go to Katie. And Katie this week asks, in Rogue One, we saw Yavin 4 and Mustafar again. So my question, what planets would you like to see again, maybe in the sequel trilogy or future films? Corey, I think the way I looked at this is I'll go through the movies and I'll rattle off a planet name. You give me a yes or a no. And if you want to stop me and say, this is where I would love to see that, just feel free to stop me.
Go for it.
So Naboo.
Yes, it's on my list.
I'm a yes to Naboo as well. Coruscant.
Not on my list, but I'm not averse to seeing it.
I'm a yes to Coruscant. Tatooine.
On my list.
I'm a no. I don't really care to see Tatooine again.
I knew it, but I know there's something more to Tatooine than you know.
All right. Camino.
Interesting. I'll go yes, but it's not on my list. But yeah.
I don't need to go back to Camino. Utapau.
No.
Nope. Mustafar.
Hell yeah.
Big yes to Mustafar. We need to go back to Mustafar. Scarif.
Nope.
Nope. Jeddah.
Yup.
Big yup. Yavin 4. We've seen it again. Do you want to see Yavin 4 again?
No, we got the gist of it there.
We might get it again in Rebel Season 4, right?
Yeah, that'd be fine. I love the temples, the scenery, the jungle temples. Total Mayan feel.
Do you think we go back in time at some point in Star Wars and somehow the Jedi had set up camp there?
That would be really cool, and I definitely hope to see that. I hope they lay a lot of the foreground to this. I hope someone's paying attention as to where all these temples that they've, put in fandom or in canon right now, Lothal, Malachor, all that stuff. I hope it all comes into play. In the past,
Yavin, it's called Masasi temples, right? So I don't know if that's like an offshoot of Jedi or if they're another culture altogether. But I don't. I'm going to say they're not ever going to be Jedi temples.
Oh, that? Yeah, I know what you mean. For Yavin, for sure. But the other ones, like definitely on Lothal and stuff, I hope they document stuff like that and we get to hear about it.
Hoth? Nah.
Oh, yeah, we got to go. No.
No. Bespin?
No, not really.
Nah, we went back there briefly in Life Debt, I think. Endor.
Yep.
I'd
like to see it. Yeah. Well, that's a forest moon, right? I don't know what Endor's like at all, but I definitely like to see what those little free savages are up to.
The only reason I want to see Endor again is I want to see some backstory about Vader's funeral pyre being picked clean. Like I assume Luke left everything there, and somebody came and took Vader's helmet, and who knows what else. I'd like to see that explored a bit, preferably on screen.
It should have been a hotter fire.
Yeah, either Vader's helmet's made of some pretty impressive stuff, or they needed Luke didn't build a very powerful fire.
Or Luke should have taken it with him.
Or that.
He partied too hard that night.
Too much Corellian brandy. There was also some like a discarded story element from The Force Awakens where there was like some undersea exploration of Death Star 2 wreckage, and like that's I want to say like schematics or the map of the galaxy was pulled out from old wreckage of the Death Star there. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
That would be kind of cool. Because again, like we said it before, like the galaxy is a massive place, so maybe a lot of people don't have. It's not like you probably have the entire star chart for the entire galaxy. I'm sure there's certain, the unknown regions, I guess, but there's definitely a lot people don't know.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, in that scenario, I want to see Endor again. Otherwise, I don't need to see. I don't. I know the Ewoks were recruited as like animal pets or hospital pets in Empire's End, I think it was. Anyway, moving on. Jakku. Like, let's assume that we're going back there at some point in episodes 8 or 9.
Oh, I think we heard we're going back there on 9. Spoiler alert.
Well, now with JJ taking over, starting over, maybe not. Although I would
that was pretty
think
JJ.
So. I mean, that's his place, right? I would think he's going back. So let's think beyond episode 9 or pre-episode 7. Do you want to go back to Jakku?
Yeah, just because I want to see some more significance for the planet as well.
And that's why I'm a no to Tatooine. Because for me now, Jakku is the new Tatooine. And there's more going on Jakku that's pertaining to this era of storytelling.
It's all about the sand.
Yeah, I don't want too much sand. I can only deal with one sandy planet. I've got Jakku and Jeddah. That's as much sand as I need. Takodana.
Yes and no, not really. Whatever.
If we get to see that there's an old Jedi versus Sith battle there that took place before Maz owned that pub, I'd like to see that.
Well, you've touched on all the ones that I thought of off the top of my head. The only one I'm thinking left is Malachor. That's where I most want to go. I really want to see that battle that happened in the past. And whatever the hell was built there, that super weapon that they almost activated in Twilight of the Apprentice. I want to see that whole thing.
Malachor.
Oh, dude, people frozen in place. Like turned to ash, that became glass. Like, what the hell happened there? Like, it looked like there was countless number of sabers just lying on the ground. That could be the cataclysm of what, the big Sith Jedi war. Why Yoda's so saying, like, everyone says, like, that's where Jedi go to die. That could be the crux, the climax of that saga.
Yeah. Any other planets you want to see? Any deeper cuts?
Maybe Mon Calamari.
You didn't get enough of it in Clone Wars?
Yeah, we saw it a few times. That's what made it so cool for me to want to go back.
What was the name? The villain in that arc was stupid though. The big
shark?
great white shark.
Yeah,
that was dumb.
That was very low hanging fruit. I don't know, just vilifying a shark like that. Like,
sharks are gentle, loving creatures. Yeah, I don't know. I'm ambivalent on Calamari. Anything else?
That's it for now.
Felucia, Salakami, Ord Mantell.
Well, we haven't seen that on film yet.
No, I'm going off the reservation here.
No, I'm good, man. Like, from what we've seen on film, I think you nailed the better part of it.
Yeah, I just wanted to just sweep through the main places that we've seen in the saga so far. I don't know if I was forgetting any. I don't think so. All right. Katie, let us know. What would you like to see? Corey, is there anything, before we move on, is there anything specific you want to see on any of these planets? Like, for Mustafar, obvious, right? We want to know what's at the heart of Vader's castle.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Like, I really want to see Luke and Kylo explore that place together.
Yeah, stuff like that would be really cool. And more, if anything, either to touch up with old friends or Force-related stuff.
Yeah, same with Jeddah. I mean, let's go. Let's unearth the history of the Jedi there. I know most of it's been wiped out, but who knows what else is on that planet? Yeah, there we go. And I think Naboo could tell us the young adventures of Sheev.
Ooh, that'd be pretty funny.
young Sheev the painter,
the serial killer.
Yeah, he'd be a hell of a sociopath in a pacifist community, wouldn't he? A nightmare having to live with that guy. All right. Thank you, Katie. Let us know what you want to see. Everybody else, let us know where we need to go back to again, or avoid for that matter. And let's hear from Nathan this week. I like this question.
I liked it a lot too.
I had fun with this one. Good day, gentle fellas. A bit of a silly one for you this week. If you were tasked with casting an all-Canadian parody of Star Wars, who would you cast in what role? So far, I've come up with Steve Smith as Uncle Owen, Brent Butt as R2-D2, Patrick McKenna as C-3PO, the great Gordon Pinsent as Le Grand Moff Tarkin, Kiefer Sutherland as Boba Fett. He's not Maori. Rex Murphy as Dr. Evazan. No makeup required. That's mean, but true. And Conrad Black as the voice of Darth Vader. So what do you think? Who would you add or change? Have a great show, guys. All right, Corey. Who's in your all Canadian Star Wars cast?
All right, let's start with George Stroumboulopoulos as Boba Fett.
Okay.
He's
All right,
almost Maori.
Is he?
I
That
don't
sounds
know.
pretty Greek to me, Stroumboulopoulos. I've got Bieber as every stormtrooper.
I like that a lot.
Make him
That's
a clone
pretty
trooper
good.
if you have to. Just I want to see Bieber as cannon fodder.
All right, where do I want to go here? I got all kinds here, man. I can save some good ones toward the end. I got a whole list here. Like I said, I was drinking last night when I thought about this, so
I think people just assume that you're always drinking.
yeah, weekends. That's definitely safe to assume. And Sith Disturbers. Let's take something not too. All right, Michael J. Fox as Wedge.
All right. I've got some Trailer Park Boys references here. So Rob Wells and Mike Smith as 3PO and R2. I don't know
that's nice.
I don't know how familiar people are with Canadian actors and programming. I hope some of these names ring a bell, but I'm busting a gut thinking of Rob Wells and Mike Smith as Bubbles, kind of dolled up as C3PO and R2. I think that's a hilarious visual.
Yeah, give me the Scooter and Skeeter.
Yeah. All right, who else you got?
All right, I got a whole bunch here, man. I'm gonna go with the older version of Leia and go with Catherine O'Hara.
She is Canadian, huh?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I never really. Yeah, she is clearly, but
that's the
never
mom
really
from
registers.
the
mother
mom
from
from
Home Alone.
Home Alone. Yeah,
all right, I'm gonna go with Don Cherry as Tarkin.
I like it. I like
Tell
it.
you right now.
All right, how's this one? Seeing as how I did the O'Hara, I'll go with Eugene Levy as Vader.
Oh, wow. You know, I you know who I've got more Trailer Park Boy references for Vader. So I've got Randy and Leahy as Vader and the Emperor. And I just picture
dude.
like Randy with his big beer belly, just wearing like the Vader hat, just like the slopey samurai part, not the mask. That's how I picture Randy as Vader, and Leahy as the Emperor, of course, because he's halfway there already.
All right, I'll give you my Emperor. My Emperor is William Shatner.
Yeah, you gotta get the Shat in there. I just
That's
had getting Shat into Star Wars just to spite the guy.
And the Emperor, come on. It makes so much sense.
It does.
How about, yeah, go for it.
I've got Jim Carrey, crazy Jim Carrey as Liar Liar Kenobi.
Really? I got Jim Carrey on my list, but you know who he is? Jim Carrey plays the role of Maul.
What?
Yeah. It's
How's
a
that-
parody, right? Like,
suppose.
can't you see like Jim Carrey like spinning a dual-headed lightsaber, like just being wacky and
Like you're thinking of Jim Carrey in his prime?
yeah, obviously something. I don't know if you've been listening to the news, but something's changed recently. But yeah, like comedian Carrey, it's a parody. Like
Yeah, that's why I have like current day crazy Jim Carrey as Liar Liar, Jim Carrey movie, Kenobi.
I like that too.
Tying things together there.
That was one of my stronger ones. I can't believe you didn't see that. How about
No.
okay? How about Dan Aykroyd as Big Boss Nash?
No, that's good. I had Dan Aykroyd as General Dodonna, but no, as Boss Nass is funnier. Michael Cera as Luke.
Oh, really? I got Jay Baruchel as Luke.
I could see both as like farm boy Luke,
Yeah, I have
skinny, awkward guys.
I have Michael Cera on my list. You know who he is? He's Nian Num.
What?
Because I just see him doing that lazy laugh.
He's oh, whatever. Anyway, Ellen Page as Leia, going again to Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, I've got a couple more here. So Will Arnett or Jerry D as Han Solo?
Boy, my Han Solo is Nathan Fillion or Ryan Reynolds.
See, I actually have both of those as Han on my list, but I was like, that's too easy.
It's a parody, though. Like, that's the thing. You got to think comedy, right? So these guys are...
But, like, Fillion's already played Han Solo. He's just called Mal.
Yeah, but Ryan Reynolds as Han Solo, like, come on.
I know, but... All right, whatever. I like Ryan Reynolds a lot. Seth Rogen as Chewie.
Yes, he was my second Chewie. Oh, dude. I had John Candy and Seth Rogen, like, old and young.
Well, it's a John Candy barf thing, right?
Exactly. That's why I was going to put Rick Moranis as my Vader, but...
Been there, done that. So I threw in one serious pick because I think it bears mentioning that this actress needs to be in Star Wars at some point, and she almost was. I think she was up for Jyn. Tatiana Maslany needs to be in Star Wars. She needs to lead a Star Wars flick at some point, or be a big piece of one. She's too good sitting on the sidelines. Orphan Black, if anybody is curious as to who this is.
How about Mike Myers as Obi-Wan?
I avoided Mike Myers completely. I love Mike Myers, but I feel like, throw in the stereotypical Canadian actor, Mike Myers. So I steered clear completely.
I just went with the comedic aspect there, and
yeah, I think you could probably do a lot with Mike Myers. He's a pretty talented guy, after all.
It's funny though. I thought Michael Cera as Nien Nunb was my, I thought that was the big one.
I think he makes a great awkward farm boy, whiny Luke. Imagine him just whining about power converters and Tosche Station and wasting time with his friends.
I gotcha.
I think it'd be terrific. All right, Nathan, I hope those worked for you. Everybody else, I don't know if those land or if those could just go over with a thud. But there's some Canadians listening, and if Rob from Gen X is listening, he's probably gonna blow us out of the water with a bunch of references. So come on, Rob, crush us. And thank you, Nathan. That was a lot of fun. I think I probably killed a good hour at work trying to conjure these up. All right. Lastly, but certainly not leastly, I like to end our shows with Jeffrey's questions. They're just nice ways to come in for a nice soft landing. So Jeffrey this week, he's asking us, what other fandoms are you and Corey into? Which fandoms do you put up there with Star Wars? I'll let you go first, Corey.
I like the way you said that there, in the sense that with a soft landing, because I got you there. I don't know how much I can really ever put up there so close to Star Wars, but you know us, Seinfeld, very high on our list.
And we just lost Rob Williams.
What do you mean?
He did.
He's not a Seinfeld fan, eh?
Yeah. Sorry, Rob.
And what else we got? Lord of the Rings. Both Kyle and I have read the trilogy twice, The Hobbit twice. I've seen the movies many times, but that's captivated me. And another big one, The Matrix. I was pretty big on as a fandom. Like, I don't want to say movies and stuff that are like, I want to say things that are like, there's been world building and whatnot. Back to the Future.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'm not into anything as big as I'm into Star Wars. Running this podcast has become, it's literally become a second job, which I love. So there's literally no time for like almost anything else for me, except for like in a very passive consumption way. And if I can streamline things to the point where I'd get a little bit more time to myself, I would probably go hard into hockey again. Before podcasting Star Wars, I was huge into the online fandom portion of hockey. I was Carlos can tell you. I had a blog at one point that a couple of people read. I was on radio as Carlos was from time to time, guesting on a couple of podcasts on that side. But yeah, if anything has ever rivaled Star Wars, like my love of Star Wars on a passion scale, it's definitely hockey and baseball for that matter. And I shudder to think what happens to me when baseball makes its return to Montreal. It's going to be I'm going to have a big problem on my hands. I'm going to be split so many ways.
Yeah, well, don't worry, because it's not going to happen.
Sure it will.
No.
It's absolutely going to happen.
Absolutely not going to happen. Kyle and I actually have a bet, Jeffrey. We'll dig it up in the tapes because we do have it on record. But yeah, I think it's by the time I'm 45 or you're 45 that there'll be a team in town. Not going to happen.
I think it was 2022, so that would make me 40. What? No, I'll be. Oh, whatever. I think it was somewhere there in that range.
It's too late. We'd already know by now.
Not necessarily.
It's over. It's not happening.
It's going to happen, man.
Well,
Anyway. So yeah, sports certainly are the things I'm most into aside from Star Wars. Going back, comics as a kid was a huge deal. Corey, you touched on a few things, but nothing's come close to Star Wars. Really, it's been Star Wars and sports for me. Those are the two huge things I was massively passionate about.
I'm a big fan of Harry Potter as well. It's not like I ever went above and beyond. Like, I still honestly, actually, I don't want to say this, but either way, big fan of Harry Potter. Got all the movies. It's a good world building. Ninja Turtles as well. I have every episode of the new run, and that's the one that I've actually kind of somewhat kept up in the reading with for some reason. I don't know, like it's like almost like a mental block. I've kept up. I'm probably about 3 months behind in my reading. But
is Donatello still dead?
No.
They brought him back?
Yeah.
I figured they would. Spoilers, anybody, if you're reading TMNT. But no, they killed Donatello a couple years ago, right? So I don't care. It's not a spoiler anymore.
Anyway, Batman, great read. Spider-Man, if you want to get a little more in depth with what we're doing in comics, like definitely Spider-Man, Batman, anything Star Wars. Firefly will always be a fandom in my heart. I love that series. And at the moment, aside from Star Wars, the only thing that's coming close is Westworld. Like, I'm really anticipating that show. Season 2 is going to be huge. I was totally swept off my feet with season 1. And I just can't wait for season 2 at this point. I'm almost as excited, but just not quite there.
Well, I think, okay, we all get the Star Wars love. Of all the things you've mentioned, only a couple of those would be something that you could envision yourself podcasting about 2-3 times a week. So what from all the things you listen, because I think that's what Jeffrey's driving at. Like, what else could you picture yourself podcasting about 2-3 times a week, every week?
Either Seinfeld, because I have enough knowledge. Firefly, I'd have to rewatch the series a couple more times. I think the most pertinent would be Westworld. Makes most sense. It's new, it's fresh, it's hot off the press, kind of. New season's coming in. I think that would make the most sense. But Seinfeld, definitely see myself doing that. And I actually thought about this, a Westworld podcast called East of Westworld.
I'm sure there's probably already a bunch of Westworld podcasts, but that's the thing about shows like that. Like, you do, 8, 10, 12, whatever number of episodes. You do a review after each one drops. Maybe you find a few thematic episodes to do, but then it drops off and you're gone for like a year.
More. This has been a really long break for this show.
Yeah, so you have to find, either you put the show in hibernation, which sucks because you'd probably lose your entire audience. So you put the show into hibernation, or you find other ways.
You got to make it more. Yeah, you got to make it more than just that show, I guess.
Well, no, I mean, like, you find other ways to slice up talking about the show, themes, characters, whatever, arcs, the music. Maybe you're lucky enough to line up an interview or something. But yeah, I think
either way, anyone not watching that show, it's truly incredible.
I've heard lots of praise and criticism, like at both extremes. Like you're very full of praise for it, and I know people who have told me it's just a steaming pile of crap.
Well, I bet you those people haven't given it even a watch till the end. Like they made their judgment beforehand.
Yeah, but people's time is short, right? If a show doesn't grab you, or if it somehow doesn't make sense to you, or if you think you're being duped, you're gonna pull out and say this is crap.
I get you. A lot of people were like that with The Matrix. Like, oh, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, well, no, it's not that it doesn't make sense so much as you don't really understand.
But to be fair, I think you're the only person on the planet that understands The Matrix.
Well, granted, don't get me wrong. We got to take it with a dose of movie reality, but there's a lot of The Matrix that runs so deep that does make sense.
That is a topic for another time that we are never going to touch on. Maybe we will on Sith Disturbers. We're going to find out. Maybe we'll do that one day. You're going to explain the inexplicable Matrix trilogy.
Go for it, man. You just line up your questions and...
I only have one. Explain this shit to me.
I'll do it.
Oh, man. All right, Jeffrey. There you go, sir. My answer is very simple. It's really sports. That's the big one. Hockey and baseball, primarily.
It's funny, like you mentioned that, because I didn't even think of sports. I was kind of only thinking of fandoms in the geek terms, I guess.
Yeah, in geek world, I have nothing else really that rivals Star Wars. There's lots of things I love, but nothing burns as hot as Star Wars. All right, that's it. Jeffrey, thank you again, sir. And I wish better luck to your Penguins going forward. And that's the end of the show. This was a big one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly did. We are now in a post The Last Jedi trailer world. Let us know what you guys think of anything you heard today, whether it's about the questions we did in the Binary Sunset, about the trailer. We'd love to get your thoughts on that. Can't wait to hear what you think of the trailer. And again, as we said off the top of the show a couple hours ago, got a big week coming up at Tumbling Saber. It's going to be a big one. Stay tuned for that. You'll learn more, powerful friends, as you get an exclusive edition of Sith Disturbers this Friday. And for those of you who are not yet powerful friends, head over to patreon.com/tumblingsaber. Become one of our powerful friends. Find out what the hell I'm talking about. For just $2 to $3 a month, you'll get the Sith Disturbers podcast, early access to others like Journals of the Willing, Worthy of Recognition, which you could be a part of. And then just launched last week, Saber Rattling, which I just named in the heat of the moment. But I think it turned out pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you listen to it, Corey?
I did. I wish you would have consulted me on the title. I guess I'm just, whatever. But either way, yeah, it was a really, really, really good episode.
Well, I mean, if I ever need a title for another podcast, I'll be sure to consult you.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, to get the premier collector within Canada, like this guy's number one. This guy's like Rancho Obi-Wan Canada style. Like, good on you. It was a good conversation. This guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and we're going to have him back. As I said numerous times, we'll get him back. I've got a lot more questions for him. And again, there's more to come. There's giveaways that we talked about off the top. We've got almost a year of giveaways planned out for you guys. Newsletters, which they're doing all right, but Corey's got to Corey. We're gonna get Corey to. I have this dream that Corey's gonna write for a newsletter, and it'll be a challenge to you guys to figure out what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a blog or am I supposed to say thank you? Like, I'm so confused.
The punctuation, the lack of, is going to be staggering. And again, if becoming a powerful friend is not in the cards for you, then just consider leaving us a review on iTunes or telling a friend about our show and how much fun you have listening to it. And again, this week at the Star Wars Commonwealth, you're going to get a plethora of great podcasts from Talk Star Wars, from the Nerd Room, Gen X Wing. They've been on a little bit of a break, but they'll be back soon. the Rogue Squadron podcast, the Skyhoppers, and of course San Diego Sabers with Steve and the boys there. Great Star Wars content, unique voices. You should really check it out. StarWarsCommonwealth.com. And again, Corey, where can we find you on Twitter if people want to harass you?
Well, on Twitter, you're going to find me at Jump Rules with a Z.
Can't end the show without hearing that. And you can find me at Tumbling Saber, everybody, on Facebook, on Instagram, and like I said, on Twitter. And that's it. Another show in the books. We creep again. We take one more step towards episode 100. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch the powerful friends in Sith Disturbers later this week. And for the rest of you, have a terrific week. And we'll talk to you next time.
Self-redeeming qualities, have they hindered me? Hindering, was I blind to see that you needed me? All of me, well, you were there for me. I will be there too, watching, listening, every moment, wanting all of you. And I believe I can save you, just don't let me go. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting, just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Time goes on and I'm questioning all the things I've seen, crazy things I've seen as I'm watching you. I'm watching you walking away from me. Were you watching